All right, good evening, everybody. Ready to call to order our meeting? So our meeting of the joint meeting of the City Council, successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, Public Finance Authority, Public Utility Authority, Housing Authority, Paris Joint Powers Authority, and the Paris Community Economic Development Corporation of the City of Paris this Tuesday, July 29th. And the call time is 6:30 on the nose. Madam Clerk, can we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Nava,
Present.
Councilmember Corona,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Rapp,
Present.
Councilmember Vallejo,
Here.
Mayor Vargas.
Present, thank you. Item 3 is our invocation. Our pastor could not make it this evening. So I'm opening a request out to any member in our public that is seated here tonight. If you'd like to lead us in an invocation, please raise your hand and I'll call you up. Okay, don't all jump at one time. All right, and I have something prepared I can speak. Please stand and join me for our invocation, and then we're going to remain standing for item 4, which is our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilwoman Nava. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today in humility and faith. We thank you for all that you have given us and the many blessings in our lives. Calm our minds and quiet our spirits so we may focus fully on the task ahead. We pray for unity, that we may work together effectively for the betterment of our community. We ask this in all your name. Amen.
Thank you, Mayor. Please join me in saluting our nation's flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item 5 is our report on closed session items. Ms. Soltani?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council met pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1 in 4 cases. No reportable action was taken. The council met pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D4 in 2 cases. In one of them, no reportable action was taken, but in another matter involving OTC Paris, a California limited liability company, and the City of Paris, a settlement was reached. The council 5-0 supported the settlement. The settlement agreement has been executed, and a copy of the settlement agreement will be available in the city clerk's office for anybody that's interested in seeing it. The council met pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8 to discuss real property negotiations with respect to 5 properties. No reportable action was taken. And lastly, the council met pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2. There was no reportable action. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6 is presentation announcements. 6A is presentation of certificates to the recipients of the Mayor's Art Contest. This will be presented by our Director of Public Services, Sabrina Chavez.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm here to present our winners from this year's Mayor's Art Contest. So our contest is held citywide, and it's been conducted annually. We have 3 winners, and the artwork will be displayed at City Hall for 1 year. So first place winner, we have Anaya Hunter. She's a TK student at Columbia Elementary School. Actually, if you'd like to stand up. Yes, and her artwork is themed or inspired by artist Jackson Pollock. Okay. Second place goes to Candy Ruby Altamirano Mercado. She's a 12th grade student from Orange Vista High School. Her design and artwork themed, the elements represent the way Paris inspire and motivate the artist. Candy Ruby? And last, we have third place, Romina Terrazas, 8th grade student from Thomas Rivera Middle School, themed I Heart You, mandala of Paris community icons. And now, if we can have Rowena. And now, Mayor, City Council, if you'd like to present the certificates of recognition as well as gift cards for our artist winners.
Test, test, test.
All righty. So Anaya stood out to me, well, not Anaya herself, but the artwork. I always get invited to go to Valverde Unified School District for their art contest. And I think they had 2 or 3 rooms of all the different artwork. And I was all done and set with my choices. I get the Mayor's Choice Award. And long and behold, I go into the last, can you display the first, there it is. So I go into the last room, and as I walk in and I turn into the room, there's this picture looking straight at me. And I said, wow. So I'm an artist. Before becoming a police officer, I started school for art, but I never proceeded with that. I went to law enforcement instead, and I do abstract drawing, and this is technically classified as abstract. I walked up to it, saw the name Anaya, and what's even more exciting is that she is a kinder, TK, even less, TK. So it's like, wow. So anyway. So we're going to get certificates out, and they're going to read their name out. We're going to first call up Anaya Hunter. The certificate is written up as may it be known that the office of the mayor and the city council hereby joins with Columbia Elementary School in recognizing Anaya Hunter for creating a winning art piece in the City of Paris Mayor's Art Contest. The City of Paris commends you on your passion for arts and contributing your artistic expression to the Paris community. We wish you much success in your future. Here's your certificate. Second place was Candy Ruby, and same verbiage here. And she's from Orange Vista High School. Come on up. And our third place is Romania. So on the back of you guys' certificates, you also have your gift card, okay? And in addition to that, I'm going to give each of you the key to the city. There's your key. There's your key. That's to my office, okay? And there's your key. All right, let's come on up. We're going to take a photo on that side.
Yeah, we'll do it over here. No, that's fine. Sorry.
All right, guys, everybody look this way. Look at me, sweetie, okay? Good job. Here we go, ready, 1, 2. Perfect. Stay right there, ready, 1, 2. Any family behind me, this is the best angle, so you might want to come behind me. Here we go, ready, 1, 2. Perfect. Stay right there.
Come on up, parents. Come on up. All right, 6B is the City of Paris Employee of the Quarter recognition for the second quarter of 2025, and this is going to be presented by our Director of Administrative Services, Saida Moscar.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. This item will be presented by our Parks Supervisor, Mr. Joshua Estrada.
Oh, sorry. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. It is my honor to present this Employee of the Quarter Award to the Parks Division's one and only graffiti removal specialist, Travis Williams, also affectionately known as El Travieso. Travis plays a vital role in keeping our parks safe, clean, and welcoming, whether he is removing graffiti, power washing the picnic areas, or lending a hand wherever it's needed. He is respected by his peers and shows up every day with a great attitude. He takes pride in his work, and he gives special attention to all park sites, knowing how much these spaces mean to our community. In fact, based on all the reports and pictures we receive when he takes a well-deserved day off, even the community notices his absence. Just saying, I get a bunch of reports. I know no one caught that, but it's a lot of reports. Outside of work, Travis enjoys riding his dirt bike and spending time with his wife, 2 daughters, and son, who recently graduated from the Navy. His love for his family is as strong as his commitment to the City of Paris. Congratulations, Travis, and thank you for all that you do. Come on up. Oh, I presented. I wasn't sure how that worked.
I'd just like to thank my Parks leadership, Arsenio, Josh, Arturo, and Abraham for the opportunity and the recognition. So thank you guys.
All right, Travis. So Travis is going to be getting this beautiful certificate in this frame. Employee of the second quarter may be known that the Employee Recognition Committee hereby acknowledge Travis William for his dedication and unwavering commitment to the City of Paris. Your efforts are commendable and greatly appreciated. So in addition to that, we're also going to give you a key to the city. Don't get anything special out of that, though.
Here we go, ready, 1, 2. Perfect, stay right there, ready, 1, 2. Ready, 1, 2. Nice, I got everybody. Perfect, don't leave, don't leave. Here we go, ready, 1, 2. Nice.
Okay, in addition to that, Travis, you're also going he's getting a gift certificate to Amazon. That, just me and you, buddy. $150 to Amazon. I already have my wish list. I'll send you my wish list. All right, Council, anybody have any comments they'd like to make before we move on? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I'd like to first start off by congratulating Mr. Williams, Travis Williams, on his award. Our parks are looking very, very nice. I know we have over 20 parks now, and it's probably a Herculean task to keep them all clean. Also want to congratulate the art winners, and your art was amazing. It really looks really good. I saw one of the photos that had the old Regency, so it brought a tear to my eye, but we are getting a target there. So thank you for your wonderful art. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much for coming here tonight. Thank you.
Anybody else? Councilman Corona?
Thank you, Mayor. To Mr. Travis, with the amount of work that you're doing to remove the graffiti and for our parks is very commendable. Our parks are looking fantastic. I keep hearing that from the residents, so thank you to you and all the with the rest of the staff. To all the artists, a big congratulations. Thank you.
Councilwoman Nava?
Huge congratulations to all of our artists. We know how important it is to beautify our city, and as you've noticed, we have the utility boxes now wrapped with art. So I hope to, if you haven't yet, to have your artwork displayed on there too would be a great feat. From our youngest artist to our oldest artist, congratulations. And by the way, how old is our youngest artist? Oh, well, congratulations, doing very big things at just 5 years old. So, and also thank you so much for your forward-facing job. This is very critical. I know I have a little one and I visit the parks all the time, and I continue to receive compliments, and something is what we could consider insignificant as graffiti on our playgrounds. It really does play a detrimental role on the ways that families enjoy and feel welcomed in these playgrounds. So just thank you so much again for your job. It's so critical and it's so forward-facing, and may you continue doing the great work here in the city of Paris. Appreciate it.
Councilwoman Vallejo?
I would also like to thank all the artists for their amazing artwork. Please let me know if you guys are selling them, because I would like to buy them because they look really nice. So, but thank you for bringing your artistic ideas here, because we love art. We always express how much we love it, and especially from young people like you, we want more of that. So thank you guys for applying and for giving us your all. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much, Travis. It's not easy cleaning parks every day, all the time, and you help us keep our parks clean, and that's what's most important here. So thank you so much, and congratulations.
All right, congratulations to our art winners. And just a reminder that we're going to have your art displayed in front of the mayor's office and council's office in the hallway of City Hall. We're very proud to be doing that, so congratulations again, and I look forward to seeing your artwork next year. Travis, thank you, sir, for all your dedicated service to the city. Graffiti is probably, I have a big purple passion over that. It's just beyond words. I mean, and as a law enforcement officer, I mean, I even ticketed people for writing with a pencil. Graffiti is just to me, is just filth in our city. It doesn't help. And to have to keep on combating that, you're doing a good job, because as soon as it goes up, we got to take it back down. That's how we fight it. So thank you for all those services and helping make our community look good. All right, thank you, everybody. We're going to move on to item 7, which is our Youth Advisory Committee communications. And this report will be given by Melanie Lopez, our president of the Youth Advisory Committee.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, and city staff. My name is Melanie Lopez, and I am honored to serve as your 2025-2026 President of the Youth Advisory Committee, YC. To begin, I'd like to share some exciting updates about our upcoming events. Our next YC Open Mic Night is scheduled for Friday, August 1st from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Statler Youth Center. We invite everyone to come out and support our local youth talent. Following that, we will hold our first YC meeting of the year on Tuesday, August 5th from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. in the council chambers. We encourage all youth to attend our meetings for updates on future events. We are also excited to announce our final Movies in the Park event of the summer, happening on Friday, August 15th at Getz Park. We'll be screening Inside Out 2 with the movie beginning at dusk. Free popcorn will be provided for the community, and YC looks forward to contributing to a memorable evening for all families. Lastly, we'd like to provide an update on our recruitment efforts. We are proud to share that 40 YC members have been sworn in. Our strategic planning session will be held on Saturday, August 23rd, where all the YC members will collectively plan our yearly event. With that, We look forward to introducing ourselves at the September council meeting. As always, we encourage the council to stay safe and connected. Be sure to follow us on social media at ParisYC for updates on our upcoming programs and events. Thank you for all your time and continued support. We truly value your partnership in helping make Paris a great place for youth and families. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's our biggest class so far, huh? 40? It's awesome. Okay, item 8 is our public comment. This is the time when any member of the public may bring a matter to the attention of the mayor and the city council that is within our jurisdiction. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Glenn Cremens.
My name is Glenn Cremens. I own property at 425 West Ryder Street, Indian Ryder Business Park. In May, I received a letter from H. Little D, capital L, company in Fresno, California, stating that being a property owner, that I have to get a business license in order to lease my space. My wife and I bought this building in 1996 and occupied as Paris Valley Electrical Supply for 19 years. I sold my business to Walters Wholesale Electric Company in 2015, and they've been occupying the space as the same business that I did and have a business license all those years. I'm wondering why, as an owner of property, I have to have a business license. And I called the company right away after I received this notice in Fresno. No one could answer my questions of when it was enacted or why I have to release my financials, who I release to the federal government every year and the state of California every year, why they need that to issue me a business license if I have to have one. And that's my question to you guys. Those two questions I can't get any answers for. I've came here and they gave me a different number to call. I called a second time after I got the second notice that they couldn't answer the questions either at the second number. So I'm hoping tonight to receive answers for those two questions. Thank you very much.
And thank you for coming in. Well, the city manager's going to have a staff member go talk to you and get your information so we can try to help you out.
Sorry, hard to hear you.
City manager will have someone go talk to you and get your information so we can try to help you out.
Appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome.
Brenda Wesley.
Hi, my name's Brenda Wesley. I'm the property manager for 425 West Ryder, and I'm here for the same concern. The owners have been contacting me that they've been contacting this HDL, and they are not able to get answers to their questions. They've, asked a number of questions, and again, they just can't get an answer to anything that they ask. And when we review the statutes and everything, it appears that it relates to residential, not commercial properties. So the question is do they realize that even though it says condominium, it is a business condominium? It's not residential. And we just feel that it shouldn't be included in this business license. The places that are there, we do require they have a license. So it's like a dual. So we would just like to know, have the people have the answers for them, like when this came into effect, why do they have to turn over their full financials? Why they can't just come up with a set fee for the license, and do they actually need it? So that would be my questions.
Okay, thank you. Same thing. We'll have a staff member go talk to you, okay?
Thank you.
John Schwab.
Mayor, Honorable Council. I'm here on the same issue, and I've owned numerous properties in Paris since 1984. Been a realtor since 1977, worked in a lot of cities, and never, ever have I heard of a landlord having a business license. No offense, but it almost sounds unconstitutional to me. I know government gets money any way it can, but this is the wrong way to do it. So I just want to voice my concern. And I know that our association's attorney has already sent a letter to the city contesting it. And I hope you guys pay attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schwab. We'll have someone talk to you too before you leave.
That is all.
Okay, I'm sorry, you said that was all?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, moving on. Item 9 is our approval of minutes. 9A is consideration to approve the minutes of the regular joint meeting held on June 10, 2025 of the City Council, successor agency to the redevelopment agencies and all the other entities as listed on our agenda. There are no questions or comments from the council. I entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion by Councilwoman Nava, second by Mayor Pro Tem Rab. Please call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Item 10 is our consent calendar item. Consent calendar items are normally enacted in one motion. The mayor or city council may remove a consent calendar item for a separate action. We will have public comment, which will be limited to 3 minutes. Council, does anybody have anything they want to pull for a separate vote or comment?
Yes, Mayor, if I may pull item 10G as in golf for separate vote.
Anybody else? All right, Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak on this item?
Yes, I do have a public comment. It's for consent calendar A through V.
A through B as in boy,
V as in Victor.
V as in Victor, okay?
Lupe Gomez.
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Lupe Gomez. I'm so glad to see you all here once again. I'd also like the public to know that I'm also addressing the public who is here today. In regards to consent calendar items A through V, I see that one consent calendar was pulled to be reviewed by Councilmember Nava. I'm very concerned with multiple items under this consent calendar, which is to be voted at once. Many of these items should be pulled and reviewed individually to be reviewed and maybe voted on. One of my biggest concerns that brought me here today was the item in regards to the 2-year drone contract for first responder services in the amount of $450,000. The issue is not the drone. The issue is where the funds are coming from. The funds that will be supplementing the agreement, the 2-year agreement for this drone, is going to be used from the Paris Union School District. Yes. Ms. Vallejo, Mr. Corona, I beg that you take a good look into this. You need to pull this, okay? Why these items are being all voted for at once, including the Beyond Food Mart, that also needs to be pulled. It has these subjects, they don't even correlate, but they're all being put under one consent item. This is concerning. The reason that they want to be approved at once. The purchase of the Toyota Highlander for community services, and I understand that many of these get approved during the community meetings. However, those meetings should be in order for you to discuss these purchases or the use of them. Excuse me. It's hard for me not to get emotional. My mouth gets really dry. And the time is ticking. But I don't believe that we should be pulling the surplus from Paris Union High School. that money was that money was set aside for public first responders, or is it school security, police officers, on-campus police officers. So because it's no longer going to be used for that, now we're going to use it for a drone for the city. And I know that the superintendent of the Paris Valley Union School District was here, very concerned with the budget. And I was at that committee meeting. So that's only a few that I have concerns about. And there are many items on this consent calendar that you need to look into. And the fact that you haven't pulled these up to right now tells me that you're not doing your work.
Thank you, Ms. Crump. Anybody else?
That is all.
All right. So at this time, we're looking for
Mayor, I'm sorry. Can we pull 10V for just a discussion?
10B,
V as in Victor.
10B. Okay, so we're looking through A through V with the exclusion of G as in golf or George and V as in Victor. So looking for a motion on the rest of these items. A motion by Councilman Corona, second by Mayor Pro Tem Rabb. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. All right. Going to item G, 10G, Councilwoman Alba.
Yes, I'd like to make comments that on June 13th of 2023, I voted against this project, and therefore I plan to remain consistent with that vote. So that's why I called for a separate vote. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion on 10G.
Mayor, can it speak on that? Go ahead and click on it. Okay. Yes, I at the June 13th, 2023 meeting, I also voted no. I think at that time it was just myself and Councilwoman Nava who voted to deny that project, and I'm also going to be consistent with my vote. Thank you.
Councilwoman Vallejo, you want to speak?
Yeah, can I just ask why you guys, because I don't know, I wasn't here last time, so if anyone can give me some background on this, that would be great.
I remember the project. The area was zoned industrial, and it came up to the council for a street vacation, and the street vacation would have facilitated the building of the industrial project. I believe as part of the street vacation, the developer offered a community benefit to the city. It escapes me of the amount. Do we know the amount that the developer offered, and whether or not the city's received that amount?
The city has not received that amount quite yet, but it's based on the timing and when they pull the building permit. I believe it's $2 per square foot, if I recall correctly.
And in terms of the legal ramifications, if the city was to, well, I know Ms. Viejo had, Councilwoman Viejo had a question, so I'll hold my question to you. Finish answering. Sorry, I was just.
Oh, no, it's fine. The more information, the better, because I don't know what's going on, so I just wanted to know. Yes.
I think the question I'd have is if the council decided not to move forward with the extension, because we've given the developer 2 years to build this project, the project hasn't come to fruition. One, would there be any legal ramifications? And two, would the original street vacation, would that revert back to the way it was prior to June 15th, 2023? Or would the street vacation still stand, but the actual tract map that the council approved at the time, would that still be in effect? Because it seems like we haven't accepted any funds from them, so they're not out. And from what I understand, that area they haven't sent any bulldozers out there or they haven't complied with that. So what would be the legal ramifications of the city if we weren't to extend the tract map?
So I want to ask staff if we have time to continue this to the next meeting so we can hold a closed session on it and have a discussion about the legal ramifications before the council votes on it.
The map would expire, but I believe I would defer to our attorney. If we extend it further past the deadline date, would that make a difference? But I would defer to the attorney, but I don't believe there's any concern should be extended to a closed session unless there's some ramification associated with that.
So the map expires before the closed session date?
Actually, let me backtrack. As long as the application got submitted before the deadline date, then it
Okay.
wouldn't have an issue.
Okay, so, and it has been submitted, so we're fine. So I would prefer to discuss this in closed session.
And also, for the record, I'm not sure if you were aware the reasons cited, Councilwoman Vallejo, why this applicant is requesting an extension. But it was 3 conditions, if I remember correctly. They're currently not, the lending institutions currently aren't funding industrial projects of this size was one of the things, just because the market is currently, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the market is currently saturated with these buildings, so they're currently apprehensive to offer funding. And then the second reason was,
They cited the tariff
Yes.
issues that's impacting just imports of delivery. So those are the 2 things that were cited.
I think there was a third one.
Let me check the report. I can't remember.
Of course, of course. And so for me, those were deciding factors because I feel like I'm aware that our city is saturated with with this industry. And given the fact that the developers are holding off because they're wagering to see if this project would be beneficial to them or not, I don't see how that could be resolved within a year, which is when this extension would be due. So this is more of another reason why I'm deciding to reaffirm my vote on June 13, 2023, and for the extension that's on the table today. Thank you.
Yeah, the other was just, I think they were kind of related. Smaller buildings are not being leased as quickly, and there's just a higher vacancy rate for smaller buildings.
Thank you so much, Kenneth.
Anything else, Ms. Vallejo? So you want to make a motion to extend this to our next meeting?
It seems like I'd like our council member Vallejo to have additional time to review this item because it doesn't seem like she has all the information available to make a good decision tonight.
I understand that. So you want to make a motion to extend this to our next meeting?
Yes, that's right, because I did pull it.
Yes.
I see.
Is there a second?
I'd second it.
All right, a motion by Councilwoman Nava to extend this to a date certain, which is, what's our date for the next meeting? I'm sorry? August 26th. And it's second by Mayor Pro Tem Rab. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. All right, item V as in Victor, Councilman Corona for discussion.
Yeah, so with us going through long time periods of without a meeting, our agendas do get long. But I can assure you that I do go through the agendas, and I do trust my colleagues are doing as well. Oftentimes, though, I mean, with so much information, there might be times where we might miss on some small details in there. But I can tell you with this specific item with the drone, I know with the wording of with the agenda was kind of written weird because it sounds like we're taking away money that was already allocated to our high school districts, and we're shifting it somewhere else, right? But I do want to make it clear that the original agreement that we had with the school district was for 1 year, and I do know that because I was the one that initially brought that up, right? I would go on my lunch breaks, I'd come back to the school, and they'd have 4 police officers there, right? And then so it created it was taking away resources from our city that our city was paying for and using it and allocating it to one entity, right? But the agreement was for 1 year, and at the time the superintendent, he was okay with that, and then we did another year, right? And then I think we did 1 more year. Well, at what time do we say, hey, this was only for 1 year, so it's time for you guys to kind of just deal with your finances, because with the city, we don't have anybody to bail us out, right? If we need security, then you know, I think we have to go into our reserves and stuff like that, right? Which oftentimes happen. Our parks, for example, we're in much needed help, or we need to fund a delta, so we had to go into our reserves for that. But so I want to make it clear, we're not taking money away from the school district, right? All we're doing is just telling them, hey, listen, we have to fund our safety for our residents, right? And I think we made it very clear to them at that time. And I do think that went through the Public Safety Committee as well too.
Yeah.
But so I definitely want to clarify that. Thank you.
Councilman Rabb, did you have a comment? Or Mayor
Yes,
Pro Tem Rabb?
basically just echoing what Councilman Corona said regarding our emphasis to the school district, that the officers were only temporary, and redirecting the funding will not inhibit the police or the sheriff from entering the schools when an urgent matter happens. I think the issue was that the school district had a lot of funds from ARPA and other resources, and we just couldn't continue to subsidize the officer in the school. And I think this is reallocating that funding for the drone. We vet the project to our Public Works Committee, and I think, just to reiterate, everything on our consent calendar are most 99% of the time are standard items that we receive multiple times: extension of track maps, purchasing of vehicles. This is nothing out of the ordinary on the 10 years that I've been on the council. But I do think that, just reiterating what Councilman Corona said, I think we really emphasize that the subsidization of providing the funding for the officer in the schools was a temporary program.
Councilwoman Vallejo.
Yes, and I agree with my colleagues here, and I would also like to say I was a board member for that school district 4 years prior, and we knew that this was temporary. Our former assistant soup always told us that this was temporary, and we always knew that, but their words have been crossed. But I can firmly tell you, I just left from there. They have so much money saved. They are fine without it. I know the budget from hand to hand. They have so much money there, and it really goes to show you that that school district, last year, they did not give both of their unions any raises or any benefits at all. So that goes to show you where they stand, but I'm just letting you know, they have so much money there. They do not need that money. Thank you.
All right, thank you everybody for the comments. Bottom line is that we are not responsible for the security or policing of the public school systems. They have their own legislative body. It's their responsibility to provide their security services, whether it's sworn or non-sworn. We were just doing good faith in helping them out during that time, and we did go above and beyond, like Councilman Corona said, from 1 year to 3 years. All right, there's no more discussion. I'm looking for a motion to approve item V as in Victor. I have a motion by Councilman Corona, second by Councilwoman Nava. Please call the vote.
Five-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Okay, item 11 is our public hearings. 11A is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order, confirming the assessments for Maintenance District number 84-1, MD 84-1 for fiscal year 2025-26. This will be introduced by our city engineer, John Porcozimi.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. We have Kian Hude with our Wilden, our consultant. He can make a brief consideration presentation if you wish to hear it, and then we have to proceed with the opening of the ballot. But there's 3 items similar to this one for different districts.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. My name is Kian Hudu with Wilden Financial Services. Today's items 11A, B, and C are regarding the placement of the annual assessments for Maintenance District 84-1, Landscape Maintenance District number 1, and Flood Control Maintenance District 1 on the county tax roll. If there is no majority protest, we would like to request that the council approves the resolutions to place the assessments on the tax roll.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions, comments? Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
No, sir.
All right, so we do still have to take these independently though, right? A, B, and C. So starting with A, I'm going to open up the public hearing at 7:15. And just to confirm again, Madam Clerk, we have nobody requesting to speak.
No, sir.
So we will close the hearing at 7:15. No further comments or discussion by the council. I entertain a motion on the resolution. I have a motion by Councilwoman Nava, second by Councilman Corona. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. For 11B, council, may I have any quick questions or comments? Okay, I'm going to open up the public hearing. We're still at 7:15. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
No, sir.
It is now 7:16. We'll close the public hearing, 7:16. And I'll call for a motion on this resolution. A motion by Mayor Pro Tem Rabb, second by Councilwoman Nava. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. And 11C. We're going to hold open the public hearing at 7:16. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
No, sir.
We will close the public hearing at 7:16. Council, does have anybody questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion for the resolution. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Rabb, second by Councilman Corona. Please call the vote.
Five oh, motion approved.
Thank you. Okay, 11D is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order approving the final Community Development Block Grant, also known as CDBG, Annual Action Plan for fiscal year 2025 through 2026. This will be introduced by Director of Economic Development and Housing, Ms. Michelle Ogawa.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I'd like to introduce Principal Management Analyst Rebecca Rivera to present this item.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. This item being presented is with regards to the Community Development Block Grant 2025-2026 Annual Action Plan. The City of Paris is an entitlement city and receives federal funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development under the Community Development Block Grant Program, also known as CDBG. To receive CDBG funding, HUD requires a 5-year consolidated plan and an annual action plan. The steps that we took for the adoption of the fiscal year 2025-2026 annual action plan were the following. The CDBG committee met on February 19th of this year to set preliminary recommendations. On April 8th of this year, the City Council held a public hearing on the proposed action plan. On May 13th, HUD released the 2025 allocations. On June 27th, the city published a 30-day public hearing and comment period notice for its final recommendation. The comment period has been fulfilled and the action plan is ready for adoption by the City Council. Our allocation for the upcoming fiscal year is $940,237, which is $54,119 more than last year's allocation. HUD has limits on how to spend our allocation, for example, which is listed on the slide. There's 3. One is planning administration, which is up to 20% of the allocated amount. Public services, which is up to 50% of the grant, and remaining goes to non-public services. These are the final allocation proposed by the CDBG committee, and each service is listed based on the allowable categories, which was listed on the previous slide. Staff recommendations conduct a public hearing on the fiscal year 2025-2026 annual action plan and adopt resolution next in order approving the 2025-2026 action plan with final funding recommendations and direct staff to take all necessary steps to implement the plan in accordance with HUD requirements. That concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you, Rebecca. Council, anybody have any questions at this time? All right. You're free to go, but don't go too far. Okay, this time I'm going to open the public hearing at 7:20. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Sharon Morris?
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, city staff, and council members. It's lovely to see you again. I'm just here again from Voices for Children, as you know, the court-appointed special advocate program. We have an MOU with the Riverside Superior Court to recruit, train, and support very special volunteers who advocate for a child in foster care who've been removed from their homes because of abuse, abandonment, or neglect. Last fiscal year, we served 34 children who'd been removed from their homes in Paris with an advocate. And this year, obviously, we hope to serve more. That cost us almost $90,000, which is extraordinarily expensive as a nonprofit. So we are so appreciative of all of the funding through the CDBG grant and for your votes. Each and every single one of you makes a difference in the life of a child in foster care. So thank you so very much again. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, that is all.
All right, we're going to close the public hearing at 7:22. Council, if no one has any questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion on the resolution. We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Rabb, second by Councilman Corona. Please call the vote.
Five L, motion approved.
Thank you. 11E is consideration to introduce the first reading of proposed ordinance number next in order approving zoning code text amendment 25-000, let me start again, 25-00002 to add chapter 19.89 to title 19 of the Paris Municipal Code to establish a no net loss / density bonus program as a tool to maintain baseline residential capacity in compliance with Senate Bill SB 330. This is going to be introduced by our Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. This item will be presented by our Principal Planner, Rafael Garcia.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Vargas, members of the City Council. As you indicated, the item before you tonight is Zoning Code Text Amendment 25-0002, proposal to incorporate Chapter 1989 into Title 19, the Paris Municipal Code, to establish a no net loss and density bonus program as a tool to serve in compliance with Senate Bill 330. Now, on May 13, 2025, the City Council directed staff to initiate a zoning code text amendment to establish a no net loss density bonus program to serve as a tool to maintain residential capacity in compliance with Senate Bill 330. Now, as part of this, the council provided a few directives as part of the overall framework. The first was that any project proposing an industrial rezone that reduces residential capacity must have concurrent residential construction along with the industrial development. Along with this, there was also a second requirement that industrial development facilitated through this program should be subject to a maximum building size. With this, staff is recommending a maximum cap of 500,000 square feet in warehouse area. If the industrial rezone involves a manufacturing or a business park use, then these restrictions would not apply. They would only apply to warehousing and logistical warehouses. Staff worked on an ordinance. The ordinance went before the Planning Commission on June 18th, last month. And as part of this, the Planning Commission conducted a public hearing, took in public testimony, and
voted on the item and approved the item by a 4-0 vote. They are recommending that the City Council approve zoning code text amendment that's before you tonight, but with the following provisions. So these are recommended changes by the Planning Commission. Number one, that any project utilizing this ordinance for an industrial project involving an industrial warehouse with a rezone that which reduces the residential capacity must entitle 100% of the residential units that are being reduced from the site. And that has to be done as part of the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for any associated industrial development. Second component of this is that at least 25% of these units must be constructed and receive a certificate of occupancy prior to the occupancy of any portion of the industrial development. Now, the purpose of the no net loss ordinance is to facilitate the transfer of units between sites to avoid any reduction in residential capacity. This helps to function as a compliance measure and to streamline compliance with SB 330. The framework that's before you tonight would create a residential unit bank. This residential unit bank would function as a ledger, and it would track the residential housing units that are lost through a rezoning effort or through the reduced development standards of an approval. These lost units would be transferred to an eligible site in order to maintain the residential capacity that is required as part of state law. Now, some of these potential sites could include a wide variety, including the River Glen Specific Plan area, as well as properties within a 2-mile radius of the 2 Metrolink stations within the city of Paris. The River Glen Specific Plan could be allowed to increase density up to 30 units per acre. The properties within a 2-mile radius of the 2 Metrolink stations would have to be a minimum of 1 acre in size, and they would be allowed a potential density increase of up to 30% above the maximum density that is allowed. Now, the graphics that you see here are graphics that provide a radius as measured from each of the Metrolink stations in the city, one being adjacent to the River Glen Specific Plan area, and the other being in the downtown area. If the council were to move forward with requiring the construction of the residential units as part of this no net loss ordinance, a wide variety of steps would have to take place in order for that to occur. And the steps would be the following. Number one, the developer would have to identify the site where the residential capacity would be relocated to. They would actually have to contact the property owners, and the property owners would have to consent to the density transfer. They would also have to prepare all applicable land use updates. They would have to complete and submit their development plans, including architectural drawings. They would also have to complete all the environmental analysis associated with the California Environmental Quality Act. They would have to obtain approval of the entitlements, and they would have to get approval from both Planning Commission as well as the City Council. They would also have to submit infrastructure and architectural construction drawings that are typically reviewed by Building and Safety, and the developer or the applicant would have to have a developer in place in order to move forward with the start of the construction for the residential units. Now, as part of this, staff did receive some comment letters. On July 18th, staff received a comment letter from EPD Solutions on behalf of the development community expressing concerns with some of the policies and framework that was provided by the Planning Commission. Specifically, they expressed concerns with regards to the concurrent development of residential units along with the industrial project. They indicated that this would present a challenge due to a wide variety of reasons, including the following. Residential and industrial development have different construction timelines. These construction cycles differ depending on the type of building and the type of use that you're proposing. Industrial buildings can typically be completed in under a year, while residential development can take 3 to 4 years. This discrepancy in the construction timelines can lead to industrial buildings sitting vacant while waiting for the completion of the other uses. The development community is suggesting the following provisions in place of the concurrent residential construction. They are indicating that a better approach would be to fund and complete the CEQA-compliant environmental review associated with the loss in the residential units associated with the industrial rezone. They're also indicating that processing the necessary land use designation and zoning amendment changes is doable. They are also proposing to partner with a residential developer who agrees to the upzone land in order to move forward with the construction. A second letter was received today. It was submitted on behalf of NAOP, and they've indicated that they have certain concerns and that they have an opposition to the provisions that were recommended by the Planning Commission as well, for the same reasons that were expressed as part of the development community. Lastly, there was one letter that was submitted prior to tonight's meeting. The letter was provided by Neighbors of Paris in Action Team, and they indicated that they are providing certain conditions of approval that they believe would be beneficial to this ordinance. And that involves overall further restricting a lot of the industrial development associated with industrial warehouses. So they're providing additional development standards that would limit some of the industrial activity. Now, staff is carrying forward the recommendation from the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission is recommending that the City Council find that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to Section 15061B3, and introduce the ordinance approving zoning code tax amendment number 25-00002 to include Chapter 1989 in order to establish a no net loss and density bonus program that would help to serve as a tool to address the requirements associated with SB 330. We are also recommending that you include the provisions that were provided as part of the recommendation on behalf of the Planning Commission, which include the following. Any project utilizing the no net loss ordinance for an industrial project that requires a rezone to reduce residential capacity must entitle 100% of the residential units prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for any associated industrial development. And at least 25% of these units must be constructed and have received a certificate of occupancy prior to occupancy of the industrial development. Overall, the industrial rezones would not include manufacturing or business parks. So these requirements would not apply to manufacturing uses or business park uses. So it's something to keep in mind, once again, as a reminder. That concludes the presentation. Staff is available to answer any questions that the members of the council or members of the public may have pertaining to this item. That concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing.
May I, Mayor?
Yes.
Just want to make one clarification. I just wanted to clarify that the last exception, at the time of the Planning Commission recommendation, that was not part of the original recommendation. Upon further review and the nature of just the industrial zone, staff is recommending that be added to distinguish industrial warehouses from manufacturing uses and business park uses, because industrial is just a general word that also includes manufacturing and business park uses. So just to distinguish that restriction would only apply to warehouse logistics, and manufacturing business park would not be subject to these restrictions. If the council wants to, that's the recommendation of staff.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Rabb?
Just a quick question. I had an opportunity to review the Planning Commission meeting and review their comments. Just to clarify, the council could also determine the no net loss ordinance is only going to apply for the upselling or rezoning of residential into commercial, manufacturing, or business park, and expressly prohibit or preclude any rezone into industrial.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you so much.
Councilman Corona?
Yes, so, you know, with the comment that our city manager mentioned about the exception, if the industrial rezone involves a manufacturing business park, these restrictions shall not apply. Because the planning commission was referring industrial, but could we be specifically say that they meant specifically warehousing? Is that what they meant from industrial?
Yes.
From the comments that they gave
The
during
purpose is, the direction was
commission?
for warehouses, distribution,
Okay.
logistics, so these
Okay.
other uses wouldn't
But they
typically.
put industrial as a whole, I mean, that
Correct.
could be different things.
Okay, we just
okay.
want to clean that up.
But were they also clear that manufacturing should be exempted? Or is that something just our staff brought in?
They didn't clarify that, but the description was industrial, and I think it was, the impression was that it was warehouse and distribution logistics. So that's why staff made that, is making the suggestions.
Okay, and then for the question for you, when you discussed about the developers, right? How many of the developers were the commercial developers?
So there's 3 projects in the city that involves a rezone that includes commercial. There's 2 on San Jacinto and 1 on Long Paris Boulevard.
But only commercial.
There's none that's strictly
Okay.
commercial.
So they come with commercial with industrial, right?
Correct.
So there's none that want to just do commercial at this time.
Not at this time.
Okay, okay. So it's sounds like the intention is for, I don't want to say industrial, but for warehousing specifically.
Correct. I mean, there is 1 prelim just strictly commercial.
Can you clarify that one?
So there's a pre-application. They haven't formally submitted, but there is 1 pre-app that's strictly converting from residential to commercial.
Oh, okay. And we can't find specifics on that. You can't tell us. I mean, is that,
It's a pre-app, so it's not a formal application.
gotcha. Thank you.
Councilman Corona, are you referring to the letter that was submitted on behalf of the development community?
So the description I had from the presentation was developers.
The development community?
Yeah. So I wasn't sure if what kind of, I mean,
Yeah,
it could be.
the letter did not specify. The letter was submitted by EPD or.
EPD Solutions.
EPD Solutions, and it's in the staff report, and it's signed on behalf of the state's development community. It was not clear as to which developers.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to open up the public hearing at 7:37. Do we have any members who would like to speak from the committee?
Yes, sir. Kevin Wolf?
How many do we have to speak?
I have one more after that.
Only 2. Go ahead,
My
Mr. Wolf.
glasses phase right now, my apologies. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Kevin Wolf. Our company is Germania. We've been in the valley since 1970, developing property from the time of farms to housing to accommodating infrastructure, freeways, interchanges, working on everything from commercial to apartments to housing and a lot of commercial property. As you all know, development takes years and decades to effectuate somebody's vision on a project. There are projects that were entitled 20 years ago that were re-entitled and now being re-entitled. So things do change. Developer and land use plans do change. So there's a lot of benefit to having a clear policy here for what I call load shifting, moving approved housing to areas that are more appropriate. Not too long ago, we didn't have Metrolink stations. Now those are in play in the city, so we can look at developing and aggregating density at these places. That makes a lot of sense. Gives us an opportunity to create a there. It's really neat, very exciting. Density for density's sake isn't always the best term solution, so having a program in place or an ordinance that allows developers to look at what a city's policy is, so that if land is taken out of place for commercial or other uses, that we can look at moving that density to places that make sense. I do like the 2-mile sphere around these Metrolink stations. That's a very smart move. Makes a lot of sense as Paris matures into the big city that it's becoming. Hopefully, it still keeps its small city feel, allowing for these more dense projects and moving units to those places is a very good long-term solution. I do ask that the additional language that's been requested by the Planning Commission be omitted. I think that's a little bit egregious to the development community. Could lead to a situation where you have two developers dueling with each other for C of Os, getting the city caught in crossfires as to delivery times and who's responsible for what. So I think that is something that should be looked on, and I think that would actually cloud a lender's ability to fund one of these projects or both of them. I like to say developers are like a canary in the mine. We spend a great deal of time and resources anticipating and preparing for the future. What's on the table today may not be what's on the table for Paris in the future. But we work with the city council, the community, and staff to make sure that projects that get presented are good, short-term and long-term. So making sure that we make smart decisions in the community we live in. Cities like Fontana, Lake Elsinore, Moreno Valley, Beaumont, and Eastville have an ordinance similar to this in place without the suggestions like the Planning Commission suggested. And I would just ask you approve it without those. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lupe Gomez.
Good evening once again. I think it's very fair to say that the reason this is being pushed is because we have Howard Industries trying to build and to change the landscape of our city, as he's done with Rialto and Colton and other cities in this region. I've spoken to previous planning commissioners, and they're very concerned also about how, these beautiful residential, specific plans as Harvest Landing were once presented to City Council as a beautiful potential for the city of Paris, and now it was purchased up by Howard Industries, and now they want to put warehouses there. But they want to remove the residential component, and what's that going to leave your residents with? I caution you very much, Council and Mayor, that you really think about the repercussions that these types of changes, moving the housing density from one part of the city to another, and how it's going to affect our residents here, the makeup of our small town. The city Planning Commission spends hours and hours and hours of their own time for $120 a month, okay, to vet these projects out, and they give you recommendations, and yet when we come up here to give public comment, we're limited to say what we want and what we need. Listen to your Planning Commission. Adhere, listen to them. They've done the work. I know. And you know why I know. I don't have to say it. Protect our residential space. Make it better. Let's use vision. Let's make our city more beautiful. You want to continue to create these pockets of heat, these concrete pockets of heat next to residential areas. You want Val Verde Unified School District to have to destroy a school and move it to another side of town because someone wants to build a warehouse that's going to be empty. One more thing before my time is over. Empty warehouses only serve one purpose: a tax write-off. They serve a tax write-off for billionaires and their investment. And yet they don't bring the jobs that they promised to bring to our city and to our residents. They don't bring the taxes that they're supposed to. One-time tax, sure. Residential, sure. Whatever, other property taxes, I'm not too familiar with that. But you do. What we do know is that they get the write-off and we get the heat. We get the traffic and we don't get the jobs.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez.
That is all.
All right, we're going to close the public hearing at 7:44. Back to you, council, for discussion. Anybody? Councilwoman Vallejo?
Yes, so I was thinking about this ordinance a lot because it's a lot to take in for someone who's new, but I was researching so much to really understand the gravity of this ordinance. But I would want everyone to know, like, don't focus on a specific warehouse development. This is just an ordinance. And I believe if we have an ordinance that really tackles and helps the housing development, then it would be what was mentioned, I think, from the development community. It would make it much easier for housing developers to come here because they are requesting fund and complete a CEQA compliance and environmental review, process necessary land use entitlements and zoning amendments, and partner with the residential developer who desires the upzone land. That is going to help us way more to get any housing developer come and build these houses. That's going to speed up the process. What I'm concerned about this one is I hate warehouses, but what I hate more is empty warehouses. I don't think it's fair for a housing developer to do all this, to do 25%, to also have them be occupied. That's too much. We are talking about different markets. And what I have come to realize is whether we like it or not, we have to be really fair. I just came back from a conference and I spoke to a lot of other council members and city managers from like all over the country. And they said, like, we don't like developers, but unfortunately we have to work with them, but I prefer to keep them accountable. And I think these are really gonna hold them accountable. And I believe this is the best action we can do because I don't want to have an empty warehouse because it's gonna take forever for them to build the homes and to occupy it. I don't like empty warehouses. I think that's a waste. And we don't know how the council's gonna go in the next 2 years. We don't know if we're gonna have a majority or not anymore. But as long as we establish this, I think this is really good because it really gets the root of the problem. It really helps with the housing developers. And they're not gonna come if there's all these guidelines, housing developers are not gonna come, and we need more housing.
Ms. Gomez, would you please, you've had your time to talk now, you need to be quiet, please.
And that was it, thank you.
So I just want to clarify, so you like everything but the 25%? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I'd like to thank all the speakers for coming out and making their comments known. I'd also like to thank the Planning Commission for thoroughly vetting this item. I think the issue that we face now is we want to enable development within the city, but I think the elephant in the room are two large projects in which they are trying to rezone a significant amount of residential units, and they're trying to rezone those units into an industrial. Now, I've met with the developers for those projects. I've met with community members. I think I've kept an open mind over the last 10 years that I've been on this council. But I think those two projects, as they are presented, are unconscionable. In terms of one project is taking not a portion of the residential, but the whole entire amount of residential to put a number of warehouses in. The other one is basically cutting out the heart of the city to put warehouses in the middle of the city. Now, I've stood up here and opposed moratoriums. I think they should be given their fair shot. But I think this is a backhanded way to rezone a bunch of our residential key components in our city, the heart of our city. Now, I would make a motion that we approve it as presented from the Planning Commission, if you are going to change the industrial or change the residential to industrial, those safeguards that the Planning Commission thoroughly vetted are adopted. I think that's fair for our residents. I think our residents have made it abundantly clear over the last 2 years that, one, they need more residential. I think it's unconscionable to attempt to cut out residential in the main portion of our city. There are people who, especially Generation Z, they can't even buy a house because we're not building enough. So I think we should adopt what was presented from the Planning Commission regarding the components regarding the industrial. If industrial wants to rezone the land, they have to comply with building it and going forward on that. So I'd make a motion that we adopt the Planning Commission's recommendations, with staff's new recommendations.
Anybody else wants to make any comments? Councilwoman Alva?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the presentation, Rafael, for this meeting and the May 13th council meeting as well. And I appreciate our planning commissioners as well for taking the time to thoroughly vet this item. And of course, our public speakers. I know that this is a tool that's used for the preservation of residential capacity. If there's one thing we're not hurting for in the city of Paris is industrial. So I'm apprehensive at this point to consider something that would help piecemeal a project that would entirely ruin the makeup of our city, the heart of our city, has been expressed up here. I'm okay with this bill being used to rezone housing from commercial, and that would be the only rezone I'd be willing to consider. And again, this is something to continue the preservation of residential capacity, but in no means am I willing to entertain industrial developers using this bank in order to approve their projects. So those are my comments for now. Thank you.
Councilman Corona?
Thank you, Mayor. So yeah, it's kind of a complicated issue, but I do want to clarify. Okay, if we did decide to approve it, right, it does not mean that the developer gets to still build their warehouse and move houses around, right? I mean, it still has to come to the council. But I definitely am concerned and very I'm very concerned about the implications that this could have, right? I absolutely do not want a developer, which in this case sounds like mostly warehouse developers, that they're going to rezone a piece of land somewhere else, right? Create density somewhere else, but there's no assurances that the housing is going to be built, right? And we're talking about 25% of the housing, which according to them is a lot, but we definitely need more housing. I am open to commercial, right? We definitely need housing, but we also need commercial. And there's some areas that would benefit from higher density. And and there's some areas that maybe the general plan, which was 20 years ago or more, right? It didn't take account to, hey, maybe there's some areas that could probably be better for commercial than for housing even. But I think the main concern here is that why we're even bringing this up to us, right? Is because of the warehouses, right? It's not the commercials knocking on our door, right? We will move a lot around for more commercial, for more businesses to come here, right? But it's for the warehouses, right? And I always tell them the same thing, and I've been saying it a long time, right? Do not buy land that is zoned for residential if you're planning to put a warehouse on that. But we've seen that time and time again. Like for decades, we've seen that, right? They'll buy a piece of land because it's cheaper, and all they have to do is just get it rezoned, right? And we all know what that process is, right? Just give a little contributions here and there, right? And then all of a sudden, land gets changed, and we've seen it time and time and time again, and the residents are upset about it. So I'm open to kind of in between, I guess, Councilman Rabb and Councilwoman Nava. I'm apprehensive to vote for to allow any warehousing to rezone to I guess upscale was the word, to upscale with the residential. At the same time, I think we do need residential, and if we could do that for a certain area, then I think that's possible. So I'm just kind of maybe hearing. I guess the mayor's the only one that hasn't spoke on it, but and I'm all for just continuing this item as well too to get more information.
Councilwoman Nava?
Thank you, Mayor. I have an additional question. From the last council meeting, there was 3 developers, industrial warehouse developers, that were looking for this item to move forward. Do we have a number, an estimate figure as to how many homes they're looking to relocate into this no net loss ordinance bank?
I can just speak on how many units are in each. One of the project has about 1,800 units, and one has about 200 units.
Okay. So we're looking at a significant number of units to be placed in a bank. And this bank doesn't secure anything. It's just to get them out of the industrial developer's way, and it's for a way to streamline this process. So again, we have 3 industrial developers in queue that have expressed interest in us moving forward with this, but you've confirmed there's been one strictly commercial applicant that's looking into this?
No, they were just asking for a
Okay.
project. They,
Okay, so thank you. So as it currently stands, we are, in a sense, facilitating industrial warehouse developers, and I think that just shows us who's guiding and who's interested in this tool to move forward. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Reb?
Yes, I have a question to my colleagues. Would you be open to this no net loss ordinance for residential to commercial, manufacturing, and/or business park? Even though that's not really on the table now, but I think we should maybe leave that open in the future, if that's something. It seems to be the consensus that from the public and the majority on this council, we're not open for industrial, even with the Planning Commission's stringent guidelines. But I think there is a consensus for the rezoning or the upselling from residential for purposes of commercial, manufacturing, or BPO. If that's the consensus, would my colleagues be interested in pursuing this in that sphere?
Councilman Cronin?
So I am open to considering that. I do think that I don't know if it was discussed, but we did receive letters from our residents about trying to limit the size and scope of these industrial projects, right? So that they don't give the perception of a large warehouse. So it might be capping at 35 feet, maybe reducing it to 100,000 square feet, probably smaller, 50,000 square feet each. So we're not going to get these mega warehouses in the city. But I'm definitely open to that for sure.
When I mentioned that, I was thinking in terms of, are you familiar with like the businesses on G Street and Redlands, like Stretch Forming, and then there's one next to Public Works. Those are manufacturing buildings. I think they're not really considered warehousing because the height of the buildings and I think they're well under 100 square feet. So I think those are people consider manufacturing in terms of, or Coronado Stone, something of that extent, provided it's not near people's homes.
Yeah. So I am familiar with the location that you're talking about. I think I've been in every single one of those, and I think they give a different perception where people are thinking, okay, well, things are being built there. They're not used as just a large warehouse. I am concerned about, though, I think we do need to look into it, of with the housing that's being turned somewhere else. I think we need to make sure that it's a place that's feasible for housing, right? I don't want them to create higher density in an area that might have a flood zone or a flight path or something like that. But yes, I guess to answer you, I am open to it, and it does depend on which specific project. Because I'm thinking about one project that I don't think we should rezone anything there, and I'm thinking about ones that maybe a certain part, if it's next to a freeway, for example.
And I would agree with you in terms of where they put the residential. I know we have those new fire maps out, and this was mentioned, I believe Commissioner Hammond mentioned at the Planning Commission, they may be taking land that's out of the fire zone and putting it more toward the Good Hope area, which is in the fire zone, higher premiums, everything else in terms of the residents, so.
Councilwoman Vallejo?
Okay, so I just want to ask to you guys, I want to add these to the no net loss ordinance. So do you guys agree with fund and complete a CEQA compliant environmental review, process necessary land use, entitlements, and zoning amendments, and partner with the residential developer who desires the upzone land? Do you guys agree with that? Like, that's good?
Yeah, I think
because I think that's going to help housing a lot, and that's what I'm focusing on.
Yeah,
anything to help the housing. Okay.
So it sounds like you still want the minimum 25% removed from that.
Yes.
Okay. Even for an industrial warehouse.
Yes.
Okay.
It's just unrealistic. I don't think that helps anyone. Like I don't like warehouses, but I just don't think this helps housing. I'm more focused on housing. I don't think housing developers are going to come here and be like, well, it's going to be harder for them to build. And I want them to come. I want more housing developers to come.
But you're saying you want more warehouses to come too.
No, I don't want
no
warehouses.
So go ahead.
And this is what I'm saying. Don't focus on any project right now. This is just an ordinance, When a project comes, that's when you can say no or we can say no. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But this is just an ordinance. This is just to make sure that everything is fair and housing developers, it's easier for them to build when all this is paid for by warehouse developers. That's why I'm in full support of this, because a lot of housing developers are going to come and be like, wow, warehouse developers paid for all the land and stuff, then I'm just going to move in and build. That's why I like it, because it helps these housing.
Now, for commercial, there's no restrictions. They could move it and right? Is that my understanding, city manager? That if it's commercial, it's not imposing that they have to build 25%, right?
That is correct. If it's commercial, manufacturing, business park, this does not, the 25% does not apply. This
So
will
a-
only be for industrial warehouses.
So an industrial developer could build manufacturing, they could
Correct.
build,
Business park
and they could build commercial,
and commercial,
right?
correct.
And we're not going to impose it that they have to build 25% for those.
Correct.
Right,
That's
so this
correct.
would only be for industrial warehousing.
Correct.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of an incentive to build more commercial, if anything. Now keep in mind, it's all project by project, right? Like just because we have this, it doesn't mean that some developer in the middle of town could say, hey, look, I follow all these guidelines, you guys should approve it. Well, we could still say no.
If I may,
All right.
Councilman Corona, just to clarify, any project can come in at any time with the rezone and have to reallocate the density, and that would be subject to a specific plan amendment at that time. So that can be done at any time with or without this ordinance, so.
All right,
But sorry,
so,
just to add in essence to that, but if we were to move forward with this ordinance, this would then make it easier for such developers to bypass the city's general plan, correct?
They still have to come back and do the rezoning, but it already allows them a location to be able to put those units in. They still have to go through the specific plan amendment, but you've already allowed parameters to where you can relocate those units.
It's one check mark that would make it.
Let me elaborate. It actually creates an additional hurdle, because if a developer just wants to go through a normal process to change a zoning or your general plan, they just file an application to change your general plan to a different zone. But this ordinance, because HCD wants to make sure if they're changing a housing zoning, that they're replacing the displaced housing somewhere else, you're adding an additional step. That if you're changing a housing zoning, in addition to the normal process you would have had to gone through, you need to identify where you're gonna put that replacement housing. And oh, by the way, if it's industrial, don't even bring your application to us unless you have warehouses that are less than 500,000 square feet. You are prepared to build the 25% and have it, so you're adding additional restrictions. Does that make sense?
It
All right.
does, yes, it does, thank you.
all right, thank you, everybody. Let me get my 2 cents in. So I think like Councilwoman Vallejos is trying to say out there, this is not just for this Tim Howard, this could be for anybody's project in the future, and if we don't have this in place, then this cannot happen. I'm just kind of curious, how does staff plan on tracking the enforcement of this requirement that 25% residence units will be completed before the industrial project? I have a hard time trying to get staff to monitor our cannabis locations and how they're running.
Yes, we would have to create a tracking sheet for the project that would require this.
Don't use HDL. So, everybody keeps talking about we need houses, homes are still what's our arena numbers right now? It's almost 8,000?
About 7,000 something, yes, almost 8,000.
Yeah. And River Glen is an approved location for another site for homes, not against the freeway or anything like this area is. Now we're going to be relying on industrial projects to build out our residential units? I don't understand this. Are we saying that there's nothing to help streamline that process? And then maybe we need to go back and figure out how to quicker build these homes instead? It's not a rocket scientist to figure out that this would definitely discourage developers. And when I say developers, it's not just about a warehouse. I've been talking to folks, manufacturing. You guys keep throwing out the word manufacturing. There's people that want to come and bring manufacturing plants, which are going to require a sizable amount of a building. But again, it's not a distribution warehouse, it's manufacturing, which according to this, that's okay. So we have to look at the whole global picture here about what the project is, and as staff just told this, the day as my colleagues, just when this gets approved here, say this gets approved, it's not a done deal for any project. You still got to come back and go through the process and get your project approved. This is just a tool for them to have to be able to do something in our city. I mean, I'm sure developers would prefer traditional upzoning instead, where residential development isn't tied up to industrial timeliness. I think our staff member even indicated that. It takes years. I mean, Park West has been around, I think, 37 years before we took a shovel to the ground. The one that's current, and they're building now, and we have Green Valley has been around 35 years before they took a shovel to the ground. Why not require developers using the unit bank to create by right pathways for residential development on off-site parcels? Have we thought about that? We should also focus on streamlining residential entitlements, like I said before, and not rely on industrial projects to help facilitate these. I mean, these are just a few of my thoughts. I see a lot of potential here for future projects based on people that I'm talking to, of ideas that they have to bring into our city. And you start throwing in this 25% in here, that's going to turn people away. They're not here to be building houses. They're here to be building businesses with jobs, and especially in manufacturing, the folks that I've been talking to, that's some serious money there. Mr. Corona, you're back in?
Yeah, I think just kind of address some of the comments that you said. So I do want to make it clear. We're not asking the industrial committee with the industrial community to come and start building homes. We're just saying the ones that are looking to buy residential land zoning, right, to ensure that those houses that were set to be zoned there are shifted somewhere else, that those houses start to be being built, right? I know it's going to take them time, but any type of rezoning shouldn't be rushed either way, right? And I think I said it before, and I'll keep saying this, every other meeting, but if they don't want to follow all these guidelines, then don't purchase the land that was zoned for residential to begin with, right? So if you're over there off of Harley Knox and it's zoned for industrial, build your warehouse, right? But in the middle of our city or near residential areas, we're going to say, hey, if you're going to do this, then you need to meet all these guidelines that we're having. I don't think it's too much to ask for. And keep in mind, too, I think it was kind of mentioned, if it's manufacturing, I think it's, from my understanding, it's going to be exempt. So if you have a manufacturer, tell them to come over, and we will help facilitate them to rezone possibly some houses, and if it's a viable location. But yeah, so we're just talking about specifically industrial warehouses, not manufacturing, not business parks, and absolutely not commercial.
And I understand that, but they still have to have a no net loss policy in place to bring that manufacturing. That's what I'm referring to.
Right, and it sounds like there's a possible opening for to allow that to have a no net loss policy for manufacturing for commercial as well too.
Anybody else want to speak? Other comments? All right, at this point, we're looking for a motion. You kind of had one. Well, he did, and then they're talking something different. So you want to reiterate?
My motion was to approve the no net loss ordinance with the planning commission's recommendations as outlined. I think it was 19.89. That was any project utilizing the no net loss ordinance for industrial project with a rezone that reduces residential capacity must entitle 100% of the units prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for any associated industrial development, and at least 25% of residential units must be constructed and have received a certificate of occupancy before occupancy of the industrial development. And then the exception, if the industrial rezone involves manufacturing and business park, these conditions shall not apply. That was the recommendations that the Planning Commission approved 4-0 back in June.
Well, in this case for tonight, your recommendation is to approve staff's recommendation, which is listed here.
Yes.
Yeah, so for clarification, that also means leave it at 500,000 square feet for limit cap?
Yes, but I'd be open to reducing that as long as we have these recommendations the last one staff put in, along with the ones the planning commission factored in.
Yeah, I'm open to that. What's a number that you would consider?
For the size reduction?
A smaller, yeah.
What do you think is one that would get your vote?
Oh, with the stretch
I know
forming, for
we're kind
example,
of,
right?
but this is what a meeting is.
That's what it is.
Deliberative process.
Yeah.
Do you think 350,000?
I was thinking 200 maybe.
How about 250?
Is that
Ms. Gomez.
is that something you would consider, Councilwoman Nava?
No, I would not consider any type of discussion for industrial. I'd be open to BPO, manufacturing, and of course commercial, but absolutely no industrial.
You want to chime in?
Just a point of order, Mayor. Maybe we should ask if there is a second on Councilman Rapp's motion, and then we can decide if that fails, because we're doing the same thing and we're just discussing.
I agree, we're playing poker here. So the motion has nothing to do with the amount of square footage at this time. It's the way it's presented by staff. Is there a second? Okay, that motion dies. Now, you want to make another one without going through a poker game?
Yes, I'll make the second motion, introduce the ordinance with the protections that the planning commission mentioned, with the exception that the warehouses will be limited to 250,000 square feet, and the exception that staff mentioned that the industrial rezone involves a manufacturer. If it involves a manufacturing and/or business park, the restriction shall not apply.
Okay, I wonder if it includes a height cap or.
I think that needs to be done at the development stage with engineering and planning. You can't stipulate that. You know,
Yeah, we can.
Well, I don't know, that's a planning.
Can't do that?
You can, but typically, that's very site-specific, and you already have that ability to condition or restrict the height as part of the development process or the design review.
You can do that at each project.
It's case-by-case basis. You never know where the location is, so you don't want to restrict yourself, but you can certainly add that here if you'd like.
Okay. But we can limit the size of it.
You can add a height restriction if you'd like. You can add the limitations on the size of the building as well, yes. But right now, on the table is just the size of the building.
Size of the building.
Yes. If you want to add a height restriction, you can, but like I said, that's typically reviewed under design review, depending on the location of the site and the needs of the building. So if you have a industrial building that may need a higher ceiling and it's in a suitable location, you don't want to restrict yourself to a height. And you can leave that as part of the development process, review process.
Okay.
Okay, the motion is as staff's recommendation. The only addition is adding the limit of 250,000 square feet. So you don't have to repeat this whole thing. It's what's being presented. The only addition would be 250,000 square feet. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and second that.
Click your button.
There's nothing there. Okay.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Rabb, second by Councilman Corona. Call the vote, please.
Corona, Rabb, yes. Nava, Vallejo, Vargas, no.
All right, so that dies. That's it, right?
Well, if somebody wanted to make a new motion, because
Somebody want to make a
there's
new
no-
motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a new motion.
Okay,
It is, I don't even know how to word it. But you know where I stand, right? If you could, City Manager Miramontes?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, just listening to your discussion, you'd like to amend this to exclude this ordinance applying to industrial warehouse uses.
Correct.
And everything else stays.
Yes, and
Well, all of the restrictions come out because it no longer applies to industrial warehousing.
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Does that clarify it for my council colleagues?
Yes.
Is there a second? You want to push motion? You haven't moved yet.
So it's the same thing, but no warehousing?
You could consider commercial BPO manufacturing, but no warehousing.
No warehouses, okay. Well, when the spirit of not limiting commercial and manufacturing, I'll second that one.
All right, a motion by Councilwoman Nava, second by Councilman Corona. Call the vote, please.
Nava, Corona, Rab, yes. Vallejo, Vargas, no.
Okay, that motion passes as indicated. (11F) is consideration to introduce the first reading of proposed ordinance numbers next in order to amend chapters 5.54, 5.58, and Title 5, and Chapter 19.75 and Title 19 of the Paris Municipal Code to not permit cannabis advertising on off-site freeway signs. And this will be introduced by Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Again, this will be presented by Rafael Garcia, our principal planner.
Good evening once again, members of the City Council. As you indicated, zoning code text amendment to amend chapters 554, 558, as well as 1975, to not allow cannabis advertising as part of off-site signs. On June 18, 2025, the Planning Commission voted by a vote of 4-0 to recommend to the City Council approval of the zoning code text amendment in order to amend Chapter 1975 of the Paris Municipal Code to not permit cannabis advertising as part of off-site freeway signs. Chapter 1975 went before the Planning Commission, and that it's part of their purview. Staff is now also recommending that as part of that, City Council amend chapters 554, 558, and Title 5 to not allow cannabis advertisements on off-site freeway signs as part of the Commercial Marijuana Operations Regulatory Program associated with renewal as well as new applications for consistency with the zoning code. So these amendments to Title 5 did not go before the Planning Commission, and that Title 5 is not part of their purview. Since the legalization of cannabis in California under Proposition 64, numerous jurisdictions have permitted cannabis uses, which has led to a proliferation of cannabis businesses, which has resulted in a wide variety of advertising along certain interstate highways and freeways. The city does not oppose any commercial cannabis activity, but the ordinance before you tonight is an attempt to further regulate these types of signs. As you may recall, last year, staff conducted a survey along the I-215. There was an overall total of 29 freeway billboards that were adjacent to I-215. Not all of these billboards were in the city of Paris. Some of them were in the county area, and 18 of them were in the city of Paris. Within the last month, staff has updated the survey, and we've discovered that a total of 3 out of the 11 billboards in the county's jurisdiction are currently advertising cannabis businesses, while 3 out of the 18 billboards in the city's jurisdiction are doing that as well. Overall, that was a reduction from last year, where there was 4 in the county and 4 in the city along I-215. The staff also reached out to a wide variety of cities to see what some of their policies were with regards to cannabis advertising. City of Blythe, Canyon Lake, as well as the city of Hemet outright prohibit cannabis billboard advertising. The city of Cathedral City prohibits cannabis advertising if it's within 1,000 feet of a sensitive receptor, which includes daycare, school, parks, youth centers, as well as public libraries. City of Corona, Palm Desert, Riverside County, and Wildomar outright prohibit billboards. And Harupa Valley currently adheres to the Business and Professions Code Section 21652.
Sorry, if we could go back to that slide, I just have a quick question. It mentions that Riverside County billboards are prohibited, but then 11 of those billboards in the county are advertising cannabis. Could you clarify
Correct. Yeah, that's one of the questions that we got during the Planning Commission meeting. I don't know exactly why. What I can tell you is that their zoning ordinance currently prohibits billboards, but it's not uncommon for cities, or in this case, a county, to have what's known as legal nonconforming signs. That's the only thing I can speculate at this point in time. They do not allow billboards, but they do have some in their jurisdiction. I don't know if that was something that was adopted recently and the billboards preceded that regulation. To be honest, I don't have a specific answer on that. But that's what we were able to find based on our research that we did.
Okay, given that these are, near our city, is there any way that our staff could go ahead and reach out to the county and verify this information?
Yes, we can reach out to them.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Now, the changes to Title V and Title 19 seek to accomplish a wide variety of things, including to prohibit cannabis advertising as part of any off-site advertising sign located within 660 feet of the edge of any freeway right-of-way, which is consistent with state law. This 660-foot distance requirement is consistent with state and federal practices. Also, it seeks to protect and promote the economic development to improve the perception of the city. And it seeks to limit the proliferation of off-premises cannabis advertisings along I-215. So overall, there's 3 chapters that are being amended as part of this: 554, 558, and 1975. 554 and 558 pertain to businesses that have some type of cannabis permit from the city. So you would be regulating the business, basically in layman's terms, telling them that they cannot have any type of off-site cannabis advertising. Chapter 1975 specifically would just be regulating the signage. So they would be regulating signage whether a business is located in the city of Paris or whether it's not. So it's specifically regulating the signage, not necessarily the business. Chapters 554 and 558 are analogous to each other. Basically, it would limit any off-site premises, any off-site signs or advertising display, including but not limited to an off-site freeway sign, a billboard that is located within the city or within 1 mile radius of the city's jurisdictional boundaries, and within 660 feet of the nearest edge of a freeway right-of-way, which is consistent with state law. With regards to Chapter 1975, this would it would prohibit the display of adult use or medicinal cannabis advertising, and it would prohibit that as part of off-site premises signs, billboards, poster boards, or other advertising for products or businesses not located on the site of the business or place of sale, including but not limited to outdoor advertising signs or display structures as provided in Section 1975-130, and off-site freeway signs as provided in Section 1975-100B5. And it would also limit advertising that's within 660 feet of the nearest edge of a freeway right-of-way sign, which again, it's part of the state regulations that are already in the books. With this in mind, the Planning Commission is recommending that the City Council find that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to Section 15061B3 and introduce the ordinance approving the zoning code text amendment number 25-00003 to prohibit cannabis advertising on off-site freeway signs and billboards. That concludes the presentation. Staff is available to answer any questions that members of the City Council may have pertaining to this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, anybody have any quick questions before I open up the public hearing? Councilman Cronin?
Yes, if you could go back one slide. So for staff recommendation, do they have a recommended which text we should use, or can we use all 3 of them? I mean, is there something?
The staff tonight is recommending that you adopt all 3. Only the last one went before Planning Commission because that's the only one that's part of their purview.
Okay.
They wouldn't make recommendations based on the legislation contained as part of or the amendments provided as part of Title V. So the chapters 554 and 558 would not require planning commission review or recommendation, only the amendment to chapter 1975.
Okay. And then quick comment, I think Councilwoman Nava had a great question with regards to the county. I go to other places in the county and I don't see them, but here next to Paris, we tend to see them, and I think part of that is because for years we have allowed it. So I think we definitely need to talk to the county, make sure that they're removed as well too. If we're gonna do this, I don't want to see a situation where we are removing it for our businesses here, but yet other businesses in other cities are taking those same spots too, or across the freeway. So we're working on it. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to open up the public hearing at 8:25. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Lupe Gomez?
I promise not to take too much of your time. I just wanted to, I wanted to share if you can please consider, if you've already considered speaking to the cannabis owners, the business owners, I think it's important that they also be contacted and have a meeting with them and discuss their concerns, because that often comes into play that they come here after it's been done and then they're upset. And it also affects their business and our tax dollars. Second, I'd like you to please consider putting in the ordinance, which I do not see here, maybe I missed it, putting in consideration the handheld signage advertising. There's recently I've been seeing several handheld advertisers spinning on the corner of, is it Webster and Ramona Expressway? Just take that into consideration, because they're encroaching on areas where they shouldn't be. And again, it's possibly affecting their business, and that's why you need to have a conversation with them as well. Thank you.
Anybody else?
That is all.
All right. We're going to close the public hearing at 8:27. Council, any further discussion?
Yeah, just a question for our staff. So I know we're specifically talking about cannabis, but just to clarify, of the 18 that are in Paris, how many of those are for alcohol? Is that?
For alcohol, we didn't necessarily review.
Okay.
We were just specifically reviewing for cannabis activity.
Okay.
And so typically, sometimes they can be tricky to notice, but a lot of the local names, I think staff's pretty familiar with them. Also, sometimes they tend to change because some of them are digital signs.
Oh, gotcha.
And so they change from time to time. That's why there's kind of been a change. But overall, in the last, since we started this, there's been a reduction in the amount of signs. So last time around, there was 4 and 4. This time around, there's 3 and 3. So there is a reduction overall in the number of cannabis advertising.
Yeah, and I do know that we did reach out to our cannabis industry, right?
We've
did let them
started
know.
to do that, and they're I think, aware of it.
Okay.
With regards to this is a citywide ordinance and amendment to the code. So we sent out the notice as consistent with state requirements. We didn't receive any comments or feedback.
And if they don't comply, then what's the next recourse?
Code enforcement.
Code enforcement, right? Okay.
Code enforcement would be the one. I think that they've started off by initiating some type of outreach and letting them know. And we're trying to obviously work with them.
Right.
Some of the folks already have some type of contract, but I haven't heard too much as far as any issues with regards to them not complying. As far as I know, hopefully they're obviously being good stewards, and pretty soon here we'll be able to address the issue.
Right. Okay. And then just a separate thing. I mean, I think it's fair to maybe look at the alcohol displays, and you could maybe go as far as even specifically the gambling portion of the casinos. I'm not talking about they're promoting some band at their place, but just something to consider. Thank you.
Councilwoman Nava?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to reiterate that this was a response from continuous input from our residents. From the moment those billboards popped up, we kept hearing about how this would taint the city's image and the community character. So I'm just really thankful that staff has worked on this and have moved forward, and now we're taking an approach to hopefully continue making the city of Paris a desirable place to live and work and raise your families. Thank you.
All right, I see nobody else in the queue, so at this point, I'm looking for a motion on the first reading of the two ordinances. says 2 in my notes. It's technically 2, right?
Correct. You'd be making amendments to Title V and as well as Title 19, so specifically Chapter 554, 558, and 1975.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilman Corona, second by Councilwoman Nava. Please call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. 11G is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order approving specific plan amendment SPA 23-05321. It's a conditional use permit CUP 24-05125 and development plan review DPR 23-00022. This is a proposal to consider the sales, lease, rental, storage, and maintenance of large equipment and vehicles on 3 separate sites totaling 24.9 acres located along frontage road between Walnut Street and Placencia Avenue within the Business Professional Office BPO zone of the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. This will be introduced by our Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. This item will be presented by our Associate Planner, Alfredo Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor, for that introduction. Good evening, Council, City staff, members of the public. As mentioned this evening, we have before you the Barker Placencia Development Project. A little bit of historical context. On June 18th of 2025, the Planning Commission voted 5-0 to recommend City Council approve the property sales, lease, rental, storage, and maintenance of large equipment and vehicle sales on 3 separate sites totaling 24.9 acres. The project site is located in the northern part of the city, in the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan area. It is located along Frontage Road, just south of Walnut Street and north of Placencia Avenue. For further context, some of the surrounding uses, we have to the north the Ritchie Brothers establishment, which has a very similar business model to the project we have before you this evening. To the west, we have the I-215 freeway. To the east, we have legal non-conforming homes. And to the south, we have existing regional detention basins. With respect to the land use map, the 2 parcels to the west of Frontage Road are currently zoned for business, professional office, acronym BPO. The parcel to the east along Frontage Road is currently zoned as what they call potential basin areas. So this parcel is actually a remnant of the specific plan that resulted from the Placencia Avenue I-215 interchange expansion project. So prior to the adoption of the specific plan, the eastern parcel was already zoned for BPO. After the adoption of the specific plan, the eastern parcel was rezoned to what is called potential basin area. On April 2022, the RCTC and the Riverside County Flood Control deemed the use of this parcel for basin to be unnecessary because the original basins were constructed just south of Placencia. Therefore, the parcel is no longer needed to be a basin. The specific plan has language that allows for potential basins to be reverted back to the surrounding zone. So in this case, the eastern parcel could be reverted back to BPO zone. So with this amendment, it proposes to rezone 9.6 acres from potential basin to business professional office, to modify the circulation plan to remove a segment of Walnut Street that won't be used anymore, which comprises about 417 linear feet, and to modify the definition of large equipment to include the proposed sales, rental, and maintenance of large equipment and vehicles. Here we have before you the site plan. The Lot 1, which encompasses an outline which is in blue, encompasses 5 acres, a 25,000 square foot building to be used for heavy equipment retail, and granting full access for vehicles via 2 driveways along Front Street. Lot 2 is surrounded by an outline that's in green, which encompasses 10.3 acres, proposes a 14,000 square foot building, also to be used for heavy equipment retail sales, and grants full access for vehicles via 2 driveways as well. And Lot 3, which has a red outline, encompasses 9.6 acres to be used for parking for outdoor storage of trailers for sale or rental, full access for vehicles via 1 driveway along Front Street, and no proposed structure on the site. Here we have before you the wall and fence plan. The thick blue outline that you see in the perimeter of all 3 parcels is actually a decorative 14-foot-high screen wall. The red lines represent 8-foot-high tubular steel fencing, and the orange is 8-foot-high metal gates with Knox boxes placed in there for emergency vehicle access. Here we have a rendering that depicts the proposed 14-foot-high screen wall that will be placed along the western property line of Lot 1 and Lot 2, which will be seen by the 215 freeway. Here we have before you a cross-section showing the line of sight by a vehicle going northbound on the 215 freeway as they would look into lots 1 and 2. In compliance with the development standards of the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan, all development standards are met and exceeded, with the exception of the parking standards for Lot 2, which the project site was, or the project was conditioned by the Planning Commission to work with staff because it has a deficiency of 6 parking spaces. So they will be working with staff for the placement of those 6 parking spaces for employee vehicle parking. Here we have before you the landscape plan, which meets the 15% requirement that's stated in the BPO zone. In addition, the applicant has been conditioned to provide 36-inch box trees, 50 feet on center, along the interior of the westernly property line facing the I-215 freeway. Here we have the rendering for Building 1. I believe, Madam Clerk, if you could be so kind as to pass by the material board, thank you. As you can see, the proposed building reflects modern architecture. Here we have the elevations of Building 1. And again, in keeping with the same modern architecture, we have Building 2 and elevations for Building 2. With respect to community outreach, the applicant engaged with the residential neighbors and property owners located just east of project site number 3. The applicant indicated that the project was explained and provided contact information for questions that the property owners or residences may have for the project or even during construction phase. As of present date, staff has not received any objections from the residents. With respect to CEQA, the project crafted a mitigated neg deck. The M&D concluded that all impacts have been reduced to less than significant or have been reduced to below the significant level with the implementation of mitigation measures. During the 30-day public review period, staff received 6 comment letters from the agencies that you see before you, and none of the comments raised any additional environmental issues that weren't already addressed in the ISMND and in the final MND. Therefore, the recommendation from the Planning Commission is to recommend City Council adopt Mitigated Neg Deck 2404 and the Mitigation Monitoring Reporting Program and approve SPA 2305321, CUP 2405125, and DPR 2300022 based on the findings contained in the resolution and subject to the conditions of approval. That concludes my presentation. I'm going to be actually handing off the mic now to the project representative, Mr. Ross, who will also have a small presentation for the council. After the conclusion of his presentation, we will both be available for the council for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present our project. I want to express my gratitude to the planning staff. This project has been the culmination of 2.5 to 3 years of working through what I think is ultimately a mutually beneficial outcome based on some of the comments that have been described here. The project's called Barker Business Park. A little fun fact regarding the project is the property that we are purchasing is with Bob Barker from The Price is Right. We actually bought the 43-acre site across the street. His nephew and the trustee is likely listening online. And so when you have the opportunity to do real estate, sometimes you come across and have opportunities to have some interesting stories and take part in legacies such as Bob Barker. So upon hopefully getting approval on the project, we will close on the land within 30 days. The proceeds from the sale will go toward Donkey Land. I hope I said it right because the nephew corrected me last time. I think I said Donkey Park. But as you guys will remember in The Price is Right, Bob Barker was always adamant about getting spayed and neutered. So these proceeds will be going to a good place, hence why we named the project Barker Business Park. There you go. So as you can see, when we originally went into this project, our original submittal included a 500,000 square foot project. As you can see, in the marketplace, some would describe that as business park, industrial warehouse for others. It was all on a speculative basis. And based on the feedback and working with city staff, there was a strong desire to see what else we could achieve from the property. Obviously, on a speculative basis, you kind of anticipate the general marketplace. My name's Grant Ross. I should have started that earlier. I'm the owner of Orbis Real Estate Partners. I spearheaded along with our team to go and try to find market activity to generate interest in our property. We feel like we hung the moon in terms of finding 2 tenants that would go to the property that wouldn't be what you'd see here in terms of the general warehouse facilities that we originally had planned. As Alfredo discussed, this is the site boundary right now. As you can see, the project is directly south of Ritchie Brothers. So as part of our entitlements, Ritchie Brothers is actually a non-conforming use. So to the extent that Ritchie Brothers wants to add a building in the future, if there was a fire and they need to build 51% back, they are not a conforming use. We've been working closely with Ritchie Brothers, me personally, with corporate. And what some may not understand is Ritchie Brothers is, I think, one of the top 3 sales tax generators in the entire city of Paris. I can speak, we've built and entitled about 15 million square feet throughout the Inland Empire. Ritchie Brothers is a tenant that every city would like to lure and pull from your city because of the sales tax generating revenue that they provide to the cities in which they take occupancy. So the benefit in terms of our overall project and approval will allow for them to become a conforming use. Right now, the current property has always been ambient since the beginning of time. There was recently a realignment when Placentia on-off ramp came in with frontage. Right now, you'll see the current photo image, street level of what it looks like on Placentia, looking up frontage as you look at the northwest corner of Placentia and frontage. Right now is what our proposed project would look like at ultimate build-out. We work closely with city staff, your planning commission, and having that ad hoc opportunity. I have to commend the city for having that process. It's certainly something that other cities should openly entertain. It was beneficial, and there were enhancements that we made for the project. As you can see, we enhanced landscaping and other improvements to the site. This view right now is on frontage, halfway up the property, giving you a view heading west toward the 215. Like the other image, this gives you the same point of view, looking toward the 215 with the proposed building on Lot 2 and then the northerly building on Lot 1. The proposed, or the image right now, shows from frontage looking east. You'll see Ritchie Brothers directly to the north and the non-conforming residential over on the right-hand corner. This gives you an idea, another image of the northerly building on Lot 1. Here gives you a perspective of on the 215 looking onto our property. This gives you that same image of upon full build out of our property, you can see the screening provided. And so this was something that we worked closely with staff along with Planning Commission. There were changes made as I sat here presenting to Planning Commission in terms of enhancements. The landscaping and the trees that are provided, as mentioned by Alfredo, every 50 feet, you're seeing those now being added to the project. We also did some enhancements associated with kind of breaking up the elevation of the screen wall. So this is the view from the 215. Right here gives you an idea of the overall site plan and landscape plan. The 5 acres to the north on Lot 1 is a 25,000 square foot building. One thing I want to emphasize is that our entire project does not include any dock doors. All, the doors provided on the property are grade level as it associates with any sort of loading capacity. Our traffic impact was so insignificant that it's actually a local provider. And some of these uses will actually eliminate some traffic from people leaving surrounding, from this marketplace to service their needs from other submarkets within the Inland Empire. Lot 2 and 3 would be occupied by the other user that we have. As you can see, there will be screen walls throughout the property. I personally met with all of the property owners and residential owners that abut Lot 3 that are adjacent to it. I provided to planning staff as well as the Planning Commission written comments, time, date, the individual people that I met with. There was overwhelming support for a project. I personally provided my cell phone to the individuals, offering, my contact information from the point in which I met with them throughout construction to make myself available to the extent that there's questions or concerns at any given time. They were very pleased about the screen wall that we built adjacent to their property. And so, that was something that they each expressed and something I provided in the comments from my meeting notes. Here's from the ad hoc meeting. There was some conversations. I called it a booger yellow bee color. There was some pause by some of the planning commissioners associated with the yellow color. We did do some additional enhancements. There was the blue glass tints, which ultimately went to gray. We also did additional enhancements based on that ad hoc meeting. Similarly, on building 2, there were comparable comments in terms of enhancements that we could do. We did do some additional enhancements to the entrance, as well as certain setbacks and reveals to enhance the look of the property and curb appeal. This gives you an idea, and I touched base on it just now. What you can see here are the sites listed 1 through 9 from the individual owners that I met with personally, providing notes for everyone, and again, providing my contact information for anyone that has any issues. There was overwhelming support for the project and excitement to see the project move forward. This gives you an idea of the benefits associated with the 2 tenants that we have for the project: 70 to 100 permanent jobs, 348 construction jobs, $11 million in offsite improvements. I made a joke during Planning Commission The infrastructure we're putting in here, and, even coming from a developer's perspective, you drive that site and you think, the utilities are there. You learn a hard lesson when you find out they aren't. We are providing $11 million worth of infrastructure. The storm drain is 8 foot by 6 foot. I kind of told Planning Commission that would be the photo for my holidays when I bring my family and kids out and we take a photo inside that, because the sheer scale and size of these offsite improvements are significant and massive. $2 million in development fees, $175,000 in annual city revenue. That's one of the benefits of our project, that while it sits in a business park industrial zone, we were able to solicit and generate interest that actually generates sales tax revenue to the city, adding annual revenue to the city's general fund. That concludes my presentation. Certainly appreciate everyone's opportunity here. I brought some of our consultants, and we're happy to address any questions as they come up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to open up the public hearing at 8:51. Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Lupe Gomez?
All right, thank you. Don't worry, Mr. Ross, I got you. I trust that the Planning Commission did a good job vetting this project. I can definitely see the potential of how it can benefit our city. And I'm very familiar firsthand with many residents that live on Indian Avenue, and most of you know why. There's also business owners in that area also. So the one thing that I would like to bring to your attention is the use of non-conforming housing for that area. Just want the public to know, and for those who are not aware, that housing was conforming when those residents purchased the homes. There was a rezone after, about 20 years later, there was a rezone due to the air base, and it was rezoned to light industrial or industrial, and that's something that I learned from Nathan here and the mayor when he went to go visit our church. And so, I just want one more thing that I would like to request is that if it is 15% landscape, that if the developer could consider a little higher number on that, especially because it is, of course, a light industrial building and it is a zone change. So I would request 30%, but any number that can get close to that would be something that we would definitely like to see. Thank you.
That is all.
Thank you. All right, going to close the public hearing at 8:53. Council, anybody have any? Mayor Pro Tem Rab?
Yes, regarding looks like a good project. It's also BPO land, but just a question regarding the screening wall along the I-215. I understand that Caltrans is limiting us or your ability to landscape that median from there to there. And just one other question, was there any examination or looking at maybe putting some kind of vines or greenery on that wall? Because it looks fine now. I'm just thinking 25, 30 years from now, it could be a little faded. So.
Yeah, I guess we came to the conclusion that the trees will provide an element of screening. In terms of the vines, it's open for discussion. I think the challenge is that keeping those vines alive so that they don't look run down, they ultimately get cleaned off, and then the paint and the wear and tear from the vines. So that is a challenge. There wasn't so much as a discussion in terms of adding the vines, more as enhancements that we could do, as well as the trees. I would say that all the landscape counts and the percentages shown don't include, I think it's close to probably 75 trees that we ultimately added from Planning Commission to this point. So just wanted to add to that point. But there wasn't a great discussion associated with vines in particular, but enhancements that we could do to the wall as well as the trees that we could provide for screening.
Just another question. If in the future, the council, we have a public art DIF fee, if we were to collect money from that DIF fee and we were to work with the owner in the future, would that be something that you or the future owner would be open if, say, we we have these metal sculptures we can add on, and Caltrans is in agreement with it. Say, over the next 5 to 10 years, we start getting the money for that. Is that something you guys would be amenable to?
Yeah, we definitely would.
Okay, then one last,
And there may be an opportunity, you know, as you can see from one of the pictures, you know, there's a monument right there at the corner of Placentia and frontage, so on both sides of the street, you know, that may be an opportunity for that type of signage, but to the extent murals or other things came into play, it's certainly something we'd be open to.
And one last question. I know this is not an area a lot of people are going to be walking down or running down, but was there any discussion about in the areas where there's no sidewalk, maybe putting a median and then putting the sidewalk versus, I saw in the corner of Placentia and I think it was Placentia and Frontage Road, there's a sidewalk there, but there's none now, but then there's like sidewalk abutting the curb. Was there any discussion about pushing that back a little bit?
Well, I know for our street improvements, we will be doing sidewalk on both sides of frontage. So does that specifically address?
It's the sidewalk, but my issue is it's not really an area pedestrians go to, but I know that pedestrians may go down that area, especially when you're turning that corner. So one of the big things that I've kind of spearheaded is, if possible, whenever there's a sidewalk, especially on a street where people are going more than 25 miles an hour, is looking at ways of pushing the sidewalk back, even if it's just like on the corner, and putting the median and then the sidewalk. I know this is not an area a lot of people are going to be down, but say you have workers working there and they want to get out and get extra steps in and, you know, I think obesity is a major issue in America. They want to get extra steps in during their lunch break. I think having the sidewalk up against the site, it just creates an issue where a lot of people don't feel safe walking.
He's referring to a parkway and then sidewalk
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
the curb.
on Placentia.
Yes, 'cause I know there's some sidewalk
Yeah.
already established.
On frontage.
On frontage.
On frontage?
Yeah, I know on part of the frontage, there's some sidewalk there already, but just
Yeah.
in areas you're going to be developing the sidewalk, if you'd be open to putting a park width in that area.
So in addition to doing the sidewalk area, we're doing a berm and a landscape area along the property. So
Councilman Corona, I'm sorry, Councilman Rapp, if I may expand. We actually typically require during plan check to have the sidewalk at property line. So that will create that buffer, the planter within the parkway. So you'll see the curb and gutter, then the planter area, and then the sidewalk.
Okay, I just wasn't clear on that, but thank you. Those are my two concerns.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Nava?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much for the presentation. My concern is that this project, and I mentioned to some of your folks that I met with earlier, it looks exactly identical to other projects that currently exist throughout the city of Paris. And given that this project is very highly visible, especially from the 215, my question is, for this project, why didn't we consider a building that looks, I have Everett, if you don't mind pulling up the images. My question is, why wasn't a building such as this considered for this site?
You know, the gift and the curse about having specific users for the property, they drive a lot of the process. So, you know, the prototypes in which we used were theirs, and they were significantly enhanced through city staff as well as planning commission going through the process.
And there's the second image there. So now if you see this off the 215, you would get a better idea of, one, what that tenant is and what they have to offer. And if you could see around this building, they provide a wrought iron fence. I know Caltrans was an issue as far as landscaping goes. And I feel if this wrought iron fence were to be if that were to be implemented, then you could see the landscaping within the project better than the 14-foot screen walls, which again, we have an abundance of those 14-feet screen walls throughout our city. So given that this is not a warehouse project, but it looks like one, I would highly, highly suggest that this encompass more of a dealer, right? It's more of a commercial type center. So if there's any way we could somehow meet in the middle and present a project that's more pleasant to the eye and breaks up what we currently have throughout our city, is that something that you all would be willing to consider?
The screen wall specifically was a requirement by the city. So I think that is, you know, something that is based on the code requirements of requiring the screen wall. So to the extent there's a discussion or an opportunity to do wrought iron instead of the screen wall, certainly that's open for discussion. Having gone through the process for the last 2.5 years, specifically associated with how the buildings are designed, this was, specifically desired by the two tenants in terms of what they desired to put here. I know that there were enhancements to the process that they collectively we have conceded to. They're not here today, but I know that they felt like they've made a lot of concessions associated with the overall aesthetic of the building, or buildings.
Those are the comments for now. Thank you.
Councilman Corona.
Thank you, Mayor. I think my colleagues already asked several questions that I wanted, but I definitely want to emphasize, I mean, from the freeway, you got that 14-foot screen wall. It would be good if possibly we could put a mural or something, because I feel that it's going to be a target for graffiti, and just something I want to kind of get ahead to begin with. I know that the Planning Commission did a great job on with the designs and the color schemes and stuff like that. But from the pictures that Councilwoman Nava brought up, it's a lot more yellows in there from your other traditional designs. And I definitely want this to be more kind of differentiate itself more from the traditional warehouses that we see throughout the city. I understand it's not a warehouse. I understand it's a lot smaller. But are you going to have a logo on there that's going to with the, is it PAPE or PAPE? Or?
Yeah, the two companies will have their logo on the property.
Okay. Now, I wonder if you could tell me what the name of that company is.
There's Pape and Extra.
Okay, Pape is
Yeah.
okay.
And I think to your point, associated with the murals, I know that city staff brought it up, and we were working through kind of last minute in terms of murals that we would do. We certainly can look to add to the panels. There was a conversation about potentially showing, a railroad, what do you call it, rail car, a parachute, something that we collectively could agree to along there to kind of soften the, the screen walls, as well as provide some sort of characteristic to the city.
Okay, all right. And then, now, I guess this is for our engineers, but, you are going to tear up part of Placencia for the drainage tunnel, and that drainage tunnel, from my recollection, is like 2 years old?
Councilman Corona, what's required is actually on frontage road.
On frontage, okay.
Yeah, there's a massive storm drain facility required by flood control. It's a regional facility. And then the point of discharge is something we're negotiating with the flood control, so we won't be tearing up Placencia.
So Placencia
at
won't
this
be
time.
touched at this time?
We're negotiating with flood control to see
Okay.
if we can.
Oh, so they
come to an
possibly might make us do it?
We'll have to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know, we came to the same conclusion. It was a brand-new street. They moved frontage, and you sit there and say, to not do the improvements at the time. So we kind of echo kind of what you're feeling, and the city engineers have all been wonderful to work with, and so we're collectively kind of seeing if there's a solution associated with the Placencia.
Well, the basins were removed, or the basin up north of on your site, Lot 2, I think what it was.
Correct.
That's been removed because of what's going on Placencia. So you got all the master drainage over there now, so you're gonna have to move that water from your area to the Placencia
Correct.
site. So
Yeah.
that's it's gonna have to happen, so.
Currently, there won't be any tributary runoff into the facility that the developer's building. It'd be a dry facility at this time until flood control makes the connection.
Good. Well, I know it's been an eyesore, especially the property on the east side. That's been a dumping yard for trash, and we have called the Barker family many times to come and clean that up, so. Anyway, Councilman Cronin, you said more?
Yeah. So I guess I would just echo the sentiments of my colleague. I mean, I understand you guys are, here you are, you're bringing the design, so it's probably gone through hours and hours and days of work and stuff like that. But for what I've seen that Pape has, compared to what I see we're getting, I feel like those other designs are a little bit superior than what we're getting here.
I understand, and the image you guys are kind of showing, if you were to look at their facilities throughout the United States, 95% of the facilities look worse than what they're showing. I'm not sure where you found those other ones.
I think it was just Google search, because I did it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, yeah, no, I totally understand 95% of them are, but here in Paris, we expect to be the best, you know? It's like Bob Barker, when you spin the wheel, you want to get to 100.
Price is
Right?
wrong, right?
So, you know, so if possible, I mean, we would like to be the best here, and I think we deserve the best. So if you know, maybe we need more time. I understand it's a long process and stuff, but I mean, I feel like you could just copy and paste some of those, if possible. But yeah, I mean, but besides that, I'm not in opposition. I just think that we could get better here. That's all.
Yeah, or just add more vibrant colors or just something that just makes it pop out and stand out, that it makes it look more elegant than just a regular building.
Yeah. I guess the concern with some of the planning commission was that what the colors were wrong, so we kind of dulled it down. You know, we could look to do some enhancements on the color.
If I may, my concern isn't too much of the color. I actually think yellow, if that's the branding, then please run with it, and that would also help break up and differentiate this building from. But if there is, like my colleagues have mentioned, just a way to upskill this a bit more, and like I know it's mentioned, there's 2.5 to 3 years of work in progress, but I feel like if there's a way to elevate this, it would be greatly appreciated. Just because it's so visible from the 215, we're gonna have thousands and thousands of people see this day in and day out. So it's really critical for me to make sure that we have a great project sitting on this property.
Yeah. I can tell you that had we been able to get through the project in 6 months, 3 years ago, the cost of the project would be an entirely different story. Today, in order to construct these 2 buildings and the overall project and doing $11 million worth of infrastructure has far exceeded any of our expectations in order to develop the property. Having had to do 14-foot screen walls, keep in mind that enhancements associated with kind of what you're talking about don't get seen from the freeway because we have a requirement to do those screen walls. It's kind of like, we went ahead and did the plants to plant inside the wall. Obviously, you don't get the benefit as much as outside the wall, but we still think that they are enhancements to the property.
Is that, sorry to interrupt, is that an option to consider wrought iron instead of the 14-foot screen wall?
If I may, Councilwoman Nava, the specific plan requires for outdoor storage solid walls because there will be storage of equipment, and the purpose is to screen it. Otherwise, you're going to see tractors as you drive through the freeway.
That, to me, that's not so much of a concern. We have Ritchie Brothers, and I've never had an issue or felt that was an eyesore as much as these 14-feet screen walls. So I would very much so prefer, I'm not sure where our council lies on this, but I would much prefer the wrought iron fence, and that might save some cost to be able to and offset the rest of the building, to be able to see the trees that you have implemented every 50 feet and provide more greenery and open space. But again, that's up to the
All right,
council.
let me step in now. What you just mentioned, Madam City Manager, is just a code requirement?
Yes, but that could be a variance.
A code requirement?
Yes,
Thank
but
you.
it can be.
And that's my exact word I was going to use. Can I get the applicant back to the microphone, please? Ross, Mr. Ross?
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
So what it sounds like the council is getting at here, it's not a warehouse type thing, and we can override the block wall requirement. By doing that, would save you tremendous amount of money in going to wrought iron. To modify your building, at least in the corner sections, just like that picture depicted, where you're going to see equipment to be sold, that's going to lower your cost factor of eliminating all that concrete and putting glass and wrought iron. Would you not agree?
Yeah, so I would look, with the removal of the screen walls, I'd look to enhance that Pape building.
Yeah.
And work if they could make it a conditional approval.
I
work with city
understand where
staff.
Planning Commission was coming with this, but this is not a warehouse. This is a 25,000 square foot sales building. I mean,
Yeah.
it's BPO. This is not warehouse.
Yeah.
Or manufacturing. So we can override those requirements,
Yeah.
and which will save you a significant amount of money, I would assume. and not have to worry about murals anymore because it's going to be wrought iron.
Yeah.
The only place I would probably put a wall would be between the residents and your facility, because that's a parking lot, I think, right, where the.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would, for their purpose, for their privacy, I would put a wall there.
Okay.
But I think anything surrounding the north, south, west walls, if you will, facing the freeway, and maybe the walls facing frontage don't need to be concrete, unless we want to concrete all the parking lot and not the storefronts.
And if I could add to that, that's a good point about residential having a wall. And it doesn't have to be those 14 feet screen walls. What if we do more residential friendly, like those brick walls, you know what I mean? Those
The regular
brownish.
cinder block?
Mhm.
I don't know what's cheaper, cinder block or solid concrete.
Just to make it, I feel like residential has different type of, but again, they're non-conforming, so that's really up to the applicant.
I have a,
Mayor Pro Tem?
yes, just a comment regarding the wrought iron. I actually think the wrought iron would be better. I think the 14-foot wall is more in line with, we're going to be having dock doors, there's going to be
Right.
trucks abutting. If you're familiar with San Bernardino, right across Orange Shore Road, there's a warehouse there, and they have wrought iron, but the trucks park like directly behind it. An example that more people might be familiar with is the FedEx facility on the county. You have all those FedEx trucks right up against a chain link fence, I think it is. Now, that's ugly. I think a wrought iron, since you have these trees that are going to be there, a wrought iron or hybrid, maybe you have the wall and then wrought iron and then the wall and then wrought iron. I think that's more applicable. And I think with the homes, do you know how like, are there going to be big rigs or tractors in that area? Because we probably could come down a little bit, maybe a 12-foot wall. Because actually, if you're in a house, I think the houses are kind of far away from the property line. But if you have your house and you have a 14-foot fence, that's taller than like a one-story house. I mean, one-story house is probably, what, 10 or 12 feet. I think that's something we could probably look into. I think the spirit of the ordinance or the code section was for warehousing. You're going to have dock doors, you're going to have trucks. This seems more like it's equipment. I think it actually would help the businesses. If you're going down the street, you see all these tractors that are for sale. I know Ritchie Brothers, it's always nice to see all the tractors when they get ready for their sales, the lifts and all that. So the last 25, 27 years. So I think it is something, just based on my colleagues' comments, my own concerns, or I think it's something we would be open to doing a variance sections of the wall, provided the funding that you save, maybe you put into sprucing up the building and the landscaping.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for everyone.
Agreed.
Anybody else? This is item H, right?
Yeah, real quick.
Go ahead, Councilman Corona.
So seeing how we're kind of requesting several changes.
This is H?
G. 11G.
Yeah.
Should we continue this item with the?
Well, that's what I'm trying to look at, the paperwork.
The only thing I'd love for the council to consider, this project has taken 3 years. I'm having a really difficult time trying to move this project forward because of the timing associated with moving it. There aren't, the hearings aren't on a regular basis during the summertime. I would ask that if you could make a condition that had us do an enhancement, that it would be something that planning commission had to agree with. I would greatly appreciate
We do this
that.
all the time, and the two main conditions is the wall and the face of the buildings being glass and what have
Yeah.
you. So what we can do is we can make a motion and clarify the conditions, get a second, and then we can take the vote on that.
Okay.
Because I do respect your time element on these projects, and the money already spent, and now money's to revise again. And yeah, I would hate to have you come back all over again.
I really appreciate it. And regarding the enhancements on the, you guys brought up the images for Pepe. I think that's where we can focus and spend a lot of money on. I'd love for, the other building, hopefully to can move forward as is. But we would look to enhance the Pepe that would be consistent with the images that you guys have provided. And so I think hopefully we can work around some language that says that I call it curb appeal, if you will, but, the view from driving or other enhancements that you guys want to see would be consistent with the image provided during city council associated with the Pape building.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that, to approving with the issues with the part that we don't have an issue with.
Yeah.
I understand your frustration. I mean,
Not frustration, I'm grateful for everything.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, but I would be frustrated if I were you. But I definitely understand it. You know, you've been working on it 3 years, but keep in mind, it's going to be there at least 30 years. So we want to make sure it's done right.
Yeah.
And, so
Yeah.
that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think we had enough discussion, looking for a motion.
So I want to get the wording right.
I can go ahead and try my stab at it. So I would make a motion that we approve
Staff's recommendation.
proposed staff recommendation, one, SBA to revert the potential basin area.
Can you, is that on the screen,
I'm reading
the motion?
the actual
Do we,
agenda.
hold on, do we have it? Okay,
Okay.
so you don't have to repeat everything. You're recommending staff's recommendation and add our conditions.
Yes, I would recommend staff recommendation, make a motion that we approve staff's recommendation with the variance that the applicant work with staff regarding the 14-foot wall, that we can provide a variance for a wrought iron fence along the I-215 and other areas that staff deems applicable, and that staff work with the developer to increase the curb appeal of the building in alignment with the pictures that Councilwoman Nava showed earlier today. I know it's kind of, but that'd be my motion.
Is that good enough for you guys, staff? Mr. Ross, are you okay with that?
Okay.
All right, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, I want to reiterate one more time. If you let Mr. Ross get to the microphone, please. So, Mr. Ross, you have heard our recommendation for our motion with the set conditions. I just want to make sure you understand and you agree to them.
I agree and support it.
Very good.
Thank you.
Call the vote, please. Push the buttons to motion and second. Mayor Pro Tem, there you go.
5-0, motion approved.
All right, thank you, sir.
I just want to express my gratitude, and I want to make one comment. I know, and I just went through a project in Chino, and people sit on behind Facebook, and they criticize staff, and they do certain things, and I just, I want to express my gratitude. It's a hard job that you guys have. It's a hard job that staff has. They do what they have to do, and so it isn't lost upon me, and isn't said enough in terms of the gratitude that people do to kind of work through these projects and try to make people happy. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, 11H is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Sorry, I want, if we can go back to the previous item just for a second, I want the city manager to read the findings of the variance into the record, just so we have it in the record. I had asked her to do it, but sorry, thank you.
Sure. Thank you, City Attorney. Yes, the finding, this is to grant a variance from the wall requirement from the specific plan due to exceptional circumstances on the site, due to the characteristics of the use, the location, and operation and types of use.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 11H is consideration to adopt proposed resolution number next in order and introduce the first reading of proposed ordinance number next in order regarding specific plan amendment 23-05029, tentative partial map 23-05028, TPM 38739, development plan review 22-0031, a proposal to facilitate the development of a business park consisting of 3 multi-tenant buildings totaling 66,686 square feet on 4.37 acres, located at the northwest corner of Paris Boulevard and Harley Knox within the commercial zone and Paris Valley Commerce specific plan. This will be introduced by our Director of Development Services, Mr. Kenneth Fung.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. This will be presented by our Senior Planner, Nathan Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. We're here to consider the March Plaza Business Park PDO, which was recommended 5-0 for approval by the Planning Commission on March 19 of this year. During that meeting, the Planning Commission expressed support for the proposed project since it will promote a business park development that would allow a mixture of business park and commercial businesses. Also, the Planning Commission was appreciative since the applicant was addressing the need for local retail in the area and also providing office space suitable for small businesses. And that's why they recommended approval. So the project currently is vacant and located at the northeast corner of Harley Knox and Paris Boulevard. Some of the surrounding land uses to the north is industrial across in Moreno Valley city limits. To the east is 7-Eleven fueling station and vacant land. To the west is industrial uses. And to the south, just south of Harley Knox, is approved to be a future fueling station car wash. Currently, the applicant is proposing to rezone 4.37 acres from commercial to commercial plan development overlay. And I'll explain in the next slide what a plan development overlay is. Some of the surrounding zoning to the north is industrial within the city of Moreno Valley. To the south and east is commercial zone. And to the west is light industrial zone. So the plan development overlay, as mentioned earlier, the applicant is proposing to rezone commercial to commercial plan development overlay. And what is a plan development overlay? Well, it's a mechanism to allow flexibility in development standards and also land uses that would be normally prohibited by the zoning code. So some of the combined business park commercial uses would range from rock climbing, a gym, a brewery, restaurant, an architectural office, a plumber, an electrical contractor, and a barber. Also, the proposed PDO will prohibit manufacturing as a prohibited use. Here's the site plan, which consists of 3 standalone industrial buildings, totaling a little bit under 67,000 square feet, consisting of office area and storage area. City staff has reviewed the project with the commercial zoning standards and the plan development overlays standards and the parking standards, and it complies. Here's a rendering just showing kind of a perspective if you're on the south part of Harley Knox towards the entrance. And here are the building elevations, which coincide with the existing 7-Eleven filling station. So as part of the entitlement process, an ISM&D was prepared, which staff received 5 comment letters. We received comment letters from the State Department of Toxic Substances Control, Riverside County Flood Control, RTA, Eastern Municipal Water District, which were all informational in nature. We did receive a letter from Lazo Jury on behalf of SAFER, which commented that there is a fair argument that the project will have a significant impact related to noise, biological resources, air quality. So the applicant drafted the responses to comments, which were to address these issues, concerns related to bio and air quality, GHG, and noise. So overall, all potential significant impacts have been reduced to less than significant with implementation of mitigation measures. Therefore, none of the comments raised additional environmental concerns not already addressed in the MND. So before I conclude my presentation, city staff received a letter. I wanted to confirm that city council, that staff received another letter from Lazo Jury dated July 29th, which is before you for consideration. It's 198 pages, by the way. City staff reviewed the letter and determined that the letter reiterates the same concerns from the previous letters related to bio, noise, and air quality impacts. Since these concerns have been previously addressed, none of the comments raised additional environmental concerns not already addressed in the MND. So Planning Commission's recommendation to City Council is to adopt a resolution adopting mitigated negative declaration 2401, approved tentative parcel map 38739, and development plan review 2200031 based on the findings contained in the resolution, and subject to the conditions of approval, and introduce ordinance number approving specific plan amendment 2305-029. This concludes my brief presentation. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Nathan. Does the applicant want to address the council briefly?
Thank you, and I will be very brief. You've all been hanging in for a long time through a number of issues. Joel Kirstenstein, on behalf of the applicant and Mr. Mayor and council, and also with me is Mr. John Reckenbach, who is the CEQA expert, as well as our consultant, and we also have the architect, Mr. Brian Poliquin of PK Architecture, to answer any of your specific questions. What I'd like to do is give the council, I also want to thank staff, as other people have also said, other applicants. They have really been, they're tough, but they have also been helpful, and that is something you don't find everywhere. Sometimes people are tough, but they're not helpful. And this staff is quite a helpful staff to get through some of the tough issues. The points that I would like to make here for this particular project are relatively unique to the issue of CEQA. And in making a record this evening, which is what I'm doing and we're all doing, our project and the comments are part of the case record which moves through the last 10 years. CEQA didn't start with this project this evening. It started about 10 years ago. And it wasn't that nothing has been done. What's important to take into consideration as the entire CEQA process included to this date off-sites, as conditioned and as accepted by the city and as put in as improvements by the applicant to the tune of somewhere between $4 and $5 million. And those improvements are in curbs, gutters, sidewalks, including we realigned an intersection that was put in just a few years before we did the realignment. That's how closely we worked with staff. Also, we have an up and running business. As I say, we're part of the last phase that we're here for this evening. The 7-Eleven is up and operating. It was uncontested, and it met all the CEQA requirements, as did the off-site construction. 3 and 4 is our site, along with the Casey Saran parcels next to Paris Boulevard, and Mr. Saran is certainly interested in what's happening this evening. And we'll probably keep a close eye on the uses as we move forward. We also have the March Air Force Base approval for this project, as you see it before you, and something very unique that no one else, I think, represented as they came here this evening, and that is the CC&Rs. We have up and running CC&Rs for several years now. We have a board of directors, and all that has been part of the process that we've had. So the business part before you this evening was part of land use changes because the economy changed, and it's much less of an environmental impact today than it was when it was an all-commercial enterprise or zoning on the property. Therefore, the MND is more than adequate because of all the other CEQA work that came to date. There have been we reviewed those letters as well. Mr. Reckenbach is here if we want to ask any specific CEQA questions. And no additional relevant studies have been submitted in any way to justify a full-blown EIR for the last phase of a project that's already up and operating. The, again, the updated CEQA studies that we did included the individual who did the initial environmental study on the property. We brought him back to do one more as requested by the city, so it had a lot of consistency in that particular study. The city wanted additional air quality information, and we did that. We brought in another special studies consultant. So, and then there's one other point that individuals who write letters don't necessarily take into consideration, and that's the MMNP, the Mitigation Monitoring Program. That was in place for the offsites. It was in place for 7-Eleven. It's been in place for the grading. It's completely graded, and all of the utilities are hooked up. And it's been there for the annual tilling of the soil and the weed abatement. We have always monitored and been very sensitive to environmental issues on that property, and will continue to be so. So, as the mayor indicated, I'll close now by simply saying we hope you concur with the 5-0 vote of the Planning Commission, which was very thorough. And the last point is that this is a small business enterprise. There are 21 doors on the project. Each of the doors can be combined into one because of the flex design that Mr. Poliquin put into it, but it's definitely a small business-oriented operation, which we know has been very important to the community. So those would conclude my remarks, and again, we're available to answer any questions, and we want to thank again everybody for working with us, and as tough as everybody's been as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing at 9:32. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, sir. Mitchell Tillman?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Mitchell Thielman with the law firm Lazo Jury, appearing today on behalf of the Supporters Alliance for Environmental Responsibility, also known as SAFER. SAFER respectfully requests that the City Council refrain from approving the project at this time, as the project may result in a significant adverse environmental impacts that require preparation of a full EIR. Under the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, an EIR is required instead of a mitigated negative declaration whenever substantial evidence supports a fair argument that a project may cause significant environmental effects or impacts. Expert opinion alone qualifies as substantial evidence, and SAFER's written correspondence provides multiple expert analyses demonstrating that such impacts are likely here. First, SAFER's wildlife biologists identified 8 special status species on or adjacent to the project site during just a short survey, and concluded based on the survey results as well as a desktop review that at least 19 species are likely to occur on or near the site. The project also includes habitat for a burrowing owl, a candidate for listing under the California Endangered Species Act. Our expert concluded that these species are at risk due to habitat loss, interference with wildlife movement, and vehicle-related mortality from increased traffic. Second, SAFER's air quality expert identified potentially significant impacts from GHG emissions and diesel particulate matter, which were not adequately analyzed in the MND. These are pollutants that pose significant health risks and must be evaluated through a full EIR. Third, SAFER's noise and vibration expert concluded that the project may result in significant construction-related noise and vibration impacts, particularly to sensitive receptors. Despite this evidence, the city argues that SAFER's expert reports are inadequate to establish potential significant impacts to biological resources, air quality, and noise and vibration. It is not enough to dismiss expert opinions simply because there is conflicting evidence. CEQA and related case law is clear on the rules for negative declarations. Substantial evidence in the record supports a fair argument that a project may have a significant impact, even if other evidence suggests or disagrees otherwise. An EIR is required to fully evaluate these potential impacts. For these reasons, and those outlined in SAFER's multiple written correspondences, we respectfully request that the council deny approval of the March Plaza project and direct the preparation of a comprehensive EIR that fully analyzes and mitigates the project's environmental impacts. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
That is all.
All right. I'm going to close the public hearing at 9:35. Council, any comments, questions?
Yeah.
Councilman Corona?
For a comment or question for the applicant, briefly. Do we have tenants that are planning to come, or are you building? Are you building for spec, or?
Regarding tenants, no, we typically don't go seeking the tenants until we have the final approval.
Okay.
But this type of product, and that's a really very good question, is usually leased before the construction is finished. There are very few business park, individual condos like this, and there's a real demand for it by local folks who live in the area to be able to get something like this.
Okay.
So and we will work very closely with your staff on whoever and whatever the process is on the partnering, the disposition, the seeking of tenants. We don't do anything like that unless staff knows who's coming in.
So it's pretty high demand. You're fully confident that they're all going to be leased out?
Yeah, I know the
Okay.
planning commission wanted a beer place that
A brewery?
a brewery,
Okay.
and so that's number one priority.
Yeah. So it's almost kind of a commercial. I mean, like
Yeah.
we've definitely seen it because we do have a brewery here, and it is in a business park, and they're
Semi.
very popular. I mean, it's
Very
yeah.
semi commercial business park, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I find it interesting because sometimes I talk to the other warehouse developers and they tell us business park isn't good. So
The flexibility in Brian's design is very unique, that somebody could come in and they want twice the space. So they get two
so
doors.
you get two doors.
They get two doors.
Gotcha.
And so it's a lot of flexibility, it's well-designed, and it has a lot of interest. We already have phone calls by people who want to come in, but want tonight to be over, or the beginning, I guess Churchill said the end of the beginning, or the beginning of the end, and then bring the folks to the Economic Development Department, let them know who's interested and get their input.
Okay, thank you so much.
Councilwoman Alva?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to reiterate that I'm thankful for the applicant for highlighting that this is small business oriented, and I truly believe that we have a great need for this type of project in our city. So thank you so much for your investment.
I see nobody else in the queue, so I'm looking for a motion on the resolution and the first reading of the ordinance. A motion by Councilman Corona, second by Mayor Pro Tem Rabb. Call the vote.
5-0, motion approved.
Thank you. Item 12 is our business items. We have none. And finally, we come to item 13, council communications. Brief communications, not yet, Everett. All right, Councilwoman Vallejo.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm going to keep it very short because I know we're just here for a long time, but I just want to reiterate to everyone, if you're having trouble with your immigration status, please contact TODEC. I've had many people send me messages online because they are looking for help. And I refer them back to Todak, and they responded back saying that they are doing amazing and they are working with them. So once again, I know you're scared and we're trying the best that we can, but if you have any questions, please contact Todak because they are working nonstop 24/7, and I appreciate them so much. Thank you.
Councilwoman Corona?
Thank you, Mayor. I did attend the Lalone Mela event hosted by the Paris Bangladesh community along with the Mayor Vargas and also MSJC trustee Hollister Corona as well too. It was just a great event, lots of music, dancing, and especially the food, and very, very well attended. I did talk to some people that actually recently came to Paris because of our strong Bangladeshi community. So we're actually attracting people from other places that are looking for better places. I did attend the NALEO conference in Atlanta along with Councilman Vallejo and Director Ramirez. It's just a great place for elected officials to kind of get together and find out what the issues are that we all have similar issues with. I did also have a chance to go see the historical sites over there along with the birthplace and burial of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and was very inspired. They obviously discussed a common theme that we kept hearing was just a housing issue, right? So we think California has a big housing issues, but it's an issue everywhere. And so they definitely came up. Some cities are working on it and have some more success, and so I'm going to be forwarding some of those to our city staff as well. But I do truly believe, and I'm talking to other elected officials from other places, that one issue is with the investors are pricing out our residents. And they come in and they're buying houses in the whole neighborhoods by the dozens, and some of these larger corporations obviously own thousands of single family homes. So I'm not talking about the person that saves a little extra and they buy another property and help send their kid off to college with that. I'm talking about the banks that are really pricing out people. So it's important that we as a city, there's not much we could do about it, unfortunately, but we as a city continue to speak up about it, and we also bring our concerns with our elected officials statewide and nationwide as well too. And I never really had a chance to speak of it last time, but regarding the immigration rates, which was also a topic at NALEO too, I'm concerned of the increase with the legal residents are beginning to be profiled and accosted just based on racial profiling. So we do need to continue to speak out on any encroachment on our civil and human rights. I want to thank my colleagues for speaking out, and I want to even recognize the Paris Valley Chamber of Commerce for a well-written statement regarding how these raids are affecting our businesses here in Paris. I mean, Paris, we have over 30% of our residents are immigrants, myself being one of them. And if you count those that are the children, the direct children of immigrants, I'm sure more than 50%, probably 60, 70%. So it's an issue that's going to affect us all. It affects our businesses. As the Chamber of Commerce put out a statement, and just important. And I do want to encourage residents as well to know your rights and to get and feel free to go to the City of Paris website to get information regarding that. And lastly, I know it's been such a long meeting since we had our last council meeting. Long time since we had our last council meeting. But I definitely want to thank our staff for a wonderful, fantastic 4th of July celebration. It was very well attended. Over 99% of people had a great time and behaved themselves. But I want to thank staff. It's just a testament to how big our events are getting. So next year, 250 years of America, it's important that we're prepared. We get plenty of security there, and I think we make it big as ever. Thank you.
Councilwoman Nava?
Thank you, Mayor. I won't reiterate what my colleagues have already touched on, but I would like to express my gratitude to our community services staff. Over the summer, there are so many amazing programs that are being offered to all our residents. So if you haven't had a chance to check any of them out, I highly encourage you to do so. And again, thank you to all our public speakers for tonight, and those are all my comments. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I'd like to thank all the public speakers who showed up and dedicated their time to express their concerns. Also like to just send my well wishes to all the children and college students starting school. We want to have another meeting to the end of August, so a lot of the school districts will be starting in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So just want to remind all the residents when you're driving, especially during the times kids are going to school and getting let out of school, please slow down. Please take extra time at the stop signs and stop lights. There's a lot of kids walking, parents taking their kids to school, grandparents taking their kids to school. Just take extra caution for pedestrians while you're going up and down the streets in Paris. So I want to thank everyone for coming out and people watching our meetings. Just to reiterate, we do a lot of deliberative processing up here, and we discuss the items, we debate the items. So sometimes it seems like we're just kind of going back and forth, but I think it's good to really flesh out the issues here at the council meeting. So once again, thank you for watching us.
Thank you. All right, I'll be brief in the interest of time. I went along with our Assistant City Manager, Ernie Reyna, to the 2025 RSO Riverside Sheriff's Office Annual Awards. Our traffic team received an award. Our Community Service Officer received the CSO of the Year Award, and the Explorer of the Year we received as well, and Life Savings Award. So Paris cleaned house this year when it came to the RSO Awards. And I did post it on social media, but it's good to brag anyway. The Centinela Grand, that's our convalescent home, our rest home for our folks here in Paris. They're the director, Mara Riso, she was awarded the Nurse Leader of the Year and Circle of Excellence, awarded by the National Association of Directors of Nursing. That's a pretty big event, or a big award to get a national recognition. We touched the 4th of July was great. And then just to reiterate, I have to reiterate just one more time from Mr. Councilman Corona about the immigration rights and resources that are listed on our website. Please visit them. It's important for you to know your rights. With that, we'll go to item 14, City Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mayor. The Mayor's Alliance to End Childhood Hunger, the food backpack giveaway event is scheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday, July 30th, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Bob Glass Gym. Also, the Paris Con is scheduled for Saturday, August 16th, from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. will also take place at the City Hall campus. And last but not least, I'd like to congratulate our Public Services Department. They applied for and were selected for the National League of Cities 2526 Community Health and Wellbeing Accelerator Program, which is a one-year program that focuses on embedding equity programs throughout the city. So congratulations.
Very good.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you. And we come to our conclusion here, item 15, adjournment. Unfortunately, we're going to, okay, Everett, now you can put it up. I got two different versions here, and I believe this is Jerome, and I believe his son is in the background. Is that you back there, Mr. Jerome? I have Ray, and then I have Roy. Is it Ray or Roy, the last name? Roy, that's what I had, okay. So if you all recognize this young, handsome guy here, I tried to find some pictures with him and I, but you couldn't see me because he stands about 6, I don't know how tall he is, but Mayor was never in the picture. I was way below. Great man. He was our Zumba teacher here in their Paris Senior Center. The guy had the moves, man. He was so smooth, and I was unfounded when I heard that he had passed away, and unfortunately, he passed away on May 2nd, 2025. So our condolences to the family. As I indicated earlier, Jerome Roy Jr. is in attendance here. You had to wait this whole time to hear this announcement, but sir, your thoughts and prayers are with you and your family on your loss. He was a good man. In addition to that, we also have a former Menifee City Council member, John V. Denver. For those of you who remember John, he was very popular in our city. John served as president for the Paris Valley Chamber of Commerce. He and his wife Linda played Santa and Mrs. Claus for many city Paris events over the course of many years. He was also a real estate agent and owned his own business here, the John Denver Realty, which was located in Paris. He also was a teacher for the Paris Union High School District for over 8 years and later served 18 years on the school board for Paris Union High School District. John and his wife Linda served as sponsors for the Paris Menifee Student of the Month program for many years. He was instrumental in the incorporation of the city of Menifee and was elected to the first city council for the city of Menifee in 2008. John passed away on July 18, 2025, and is survived by his wife Linda, his children, and grandchildren. So we are adjourning in memory of both Jerome Ray as well as Councilman John V. Denver. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us, for watching us, and we'll see you next time.
John.
All right. Okay.